Thank you to They Might Be Giants with their cover of Tub Thumping, and our friends over at the AV Club. It's Erik Nagel. I am your host, Erik Nagel. 866-969-1969 is the phone number, and thank you, everybody who remembered to join us at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, our brand new time here today on the Opie Radio channel. And for those who forgot, we'll do this intro all over again at 7 o'clock and 4 o'clock on the Pacific Coast. And for everyone who just doesn't listen, then we don't need to take care of them.
Yeah, you weren't listening anyway.
That's my buddy Gittles over there. Gittle Base on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you give him a follow.
Hey,
on his
up?
daily adventures, he finds really weird things in the streets of New York and then throws it up there for you to enjoy.
That's usually what I do. Any kind of weird signs or something stupid I see, I don't know. I got a weird imagination. I'll see weird things where I'm walking.
Right, we're kind of bare bones today here. This is remnants of Florida SuperCon. Me and you doing all this. Matt OG is on his way here. It's a little different now being on an hour earlier because Matt works a real job.
Yeah, so how dare he?
Right, and it's not even in the city, so he has to haul ass from job 1 to job 2 here. So we'll figure that out as time goes on.
You think he's going to take like a motorboat and like come in like Miami Vice, like up the coast?
What if he just has a helicopter, like something like from True Lies, and then he just scales down the building, swings through the glass, and here he is ready to do the show?
That would be pretty epic, actually. I think Sirius would probably be mad. They'd be like, you broke another window.
And I'm like, they're not paying you enough.
Up.
And like, how did you afford a helicopter?
Yeah, seriously.
So how you been?
Not too bad. Just finished up whirlwind 7 weeks on America's Got Talent. We crowned the winner this week, and just been kind of relaxing and catching up on sleep over the last 2 days. And by catching up on sleep, I mean sleeping over the hangover from the rap party on Wednesday night.
Describe for the audience a little bit. Gittles, for those who doesn't know, worked the background, the technical end of America's Got Talent on NBC. Now, you weren't at Radio City, but you're across the street where all your editing bays and everything is. So you're pulling in all the feeds.
Everything.
All the montages, everything. I mean, you make the montages, but all the feeds and everything that comes in live from Radio City Music Hall, the stuff that they produced earlier with the contestants or with the talent, you guys are piecing all this together, and you're feeding it back to Radio City and also feeding it to Los Angeles. Like, there's a whole thing to do.
There's like a gigantic web. So basically what happens is, once all the contestants get here, we go out and we shoot little packages for them. So whenever you see them on TV, sitting there being like, oh, being on America's Got Talent, it's always been my dream, and they're in the park and stuff like that. We have 10 crews out because there's 10 contestants, so we have just people constantly just shooting stuff and just coming back to the office like, we got all this footage, you got to get this into the system because we got to send this to LA because they need to cut with this in like 20 minutes.
Jeez, so it's always down to the wire with that, right? So what is your day like when the show is live?
When the show is live, it's pretty insane. Like, my day, it involves getting footage in. We have to do legal screenings with like all the lawyers to show everything that we're going to air at night. So they have to make sure that there's no blurs or any songs we have to take out because we don't have permission to use them. Lots of rights and clearances and stuff like that. And then we have to just feed everything down to the live satellite truck so that I could beam out to everyone. And this Tuesday we had a record for us where we delivered some of our packages the earliest we did, and we actually delivered a package probably about 2 minutes before the show had to air, and it was the first 5 minutes of the show.
Nice.
So we were all just sitting there in the office like, oh my god, just watching the transfer bar like, please make it, please make it, please make it. Otherwise the show is just going to go to like Lassie or something for the first 5 minutes. We're like, oh shit.
What's the fail-safe? Like, Opie and Anthony used to tell a story about they'd have a fail-safe when they used to run out of dump.
Yep.
So much profanity would go out over the air that, the FCC doesn't allow. So you have this thing that dumps out maybe 3-second intervals. But when you run out of that, they had a cart machine down by engineering that would play Van Halen's Ain't Talking About Love. So that became the big bit when you had to put the show, something happened and it was too outrageous, you just would hit that and they'd think the show got
canceled.
But that was the fail-safe. So what do they do in your place where if they don't get the stuff in time?
We just have like little other bits and stuff of like cut things that we didn't use throughout the season. So we have what we call like the evergreen package, which is what will come on. It's like it's our fail safe. And we had a couple of them this year that was more of like the greatest hits of people fucking up and stuff like that. So there was a shot of some guy trying to carve an apple in some girl's mouth with a chainsaw, and you're like, oh my god, he's gonna slip and cut her. No, she gets lockjaw and just can't close her mouth, so she's walking around like on stage. So that's kind of what we cut to. It's like a blooper reel of everyone just getting hurt or things that went wrong on the show.
So is that what happened several weeks back when all of a sudden you're expecting a show and it was just the history of Got Talent around the world?
Basically, yes. That's if something like that happens, then something got screwed up somewhere.
Well, that was the whole show. It was Got Talent around the world.
Yeah, well, we do those bits too. I mean, those are just like the actual ones that we do, because we had some contestants on, like the professional regurgitator who was on this season. He made it to the finals. He's been on every single country's version of Got Talent
and hasn't won anything.
He hasn't won any of them. He's good. I mean, he's really good at what he does. He does a great show. I mean, he inhaled gas and then blew it into bubbles and lit the bubbles on fire, so it was pretty cool.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But
who's that talking? Oh, it's Matt O.G.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you, sir?
Oh, a little out of breath, but I'm here.
Okay, well, you take a breath there. We'll get to you in just a moment. So, now, the final just was this past week, right?
Yeah, it was just past Wednesday.
Does anyone on the staff care who wins?
We kind of do. Like, we all sat around taking bets and stuff like that.
You all have your favorites, or is this just a job?
It's just the job, but we have the people we hope win, because the thing is, the winner gets a show in Vegas. So you're kind of hoping for the really big, spectacle-y type acts to win, because that's the best thing that would actually work for Vegas. You want something that's going to be like ventriloquism or like a magic show. You don't really want like a singer-songwriter to win. It's like, I hate to say it, but it's like, are you going to be able to sustain a show for a year in Vegas? You need to have like a bigger gimmick.
Well,
so,
you know what? To be fair, though, a lot of those acts that you'd think aren't going to make it to the finals and they do, you start thinking, like, how is that going to be a Vegas thing? Like, a few years ago, there was a dog act.
Oh, yeah, all the dogs that were, like, backflipping and
right,
stuff.
But it's like, how are they going to do a whole show like that and then constantly do that show?
I have no idea. Well, that's what we always talk about. We're like, how is this, 15-year-old kid who made it to the finals as a comedian going to have a show in Vegas? Like, who wants to go watch that after you just lost all of your money? Just, like, watch some 15-year-old kid telling jokes, It just doesn't work. I don't know. But it's interesting. We definitely, there was definitely a couple of instances this week where, we didn't make packages for people, because you kind of like...
You kind of know?
No, well, I mean, we know, like, based on, because after an episode airs, they tell us, like, like the voting statistics. So, like, you can kind of judge who is going to be in the top.
Sure.
But then on Tuesday, one of the people we didn't think were going to be in the top, like, killed it on the show. So we never made a package for them in case they won. So we're like, oh shit, if they win, we're not going to have like a package of them saying like, oh, being on America's Got Talent and making it to the final. We wouldn't have had any of that. We would have been like, all right, they won. Cool.
Congrats.
Nick Cannon, dance.
Yeah, exactly. But it was pretty cool.
All right.
It's live TV. It's a different beast than regular reality TV.
So the final happened, done. When the show is done live, do you still have stuff you have to do, or do you just throw everything down and go, I'm out of here?
Well, we kind of did that about 2 hours before the show started. We were like already sitting there drinking. We're like, well, we got nothing to do until this show is over.
You get a boss saying, guys, you got to be on hand in case something goes wrong. I don't care. It's the last show.
Yeah, no,
We're
and the
done.
senior executive from the company comes in and is like, where's all the liquor? We're like, all right, I guess we could start drinking now.
Can we ever talk about that other thing or no?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah.
Okay, did they ever resolve that?
I don't know. I don't know how it got resolved, but
they never caught the person.
I don't know. I don't know if they caught the person. Well, basically, what happened was, and I told this to Eric, and
Can you tell the story?
Let's put it this way. We got a cease and desist letter from HBO because somebody may have been downloading stuff illegally at the office.
Oh, all right.
So that said, but there's more to the story that's the more interesting part. But I don't know if we can talk about that.
Yeah,
Can you?
I don't know. I would.
Give it a little time.
I would rather not.
Yeah.
Let's give it a time. It's only been
Ever
a week.
or just give it time.
Let's give it some time.
Okay, give it some time, because part 2 of the story is unbelievable.
It's really
that
insane.
If that happened, I would have been laughing my ass off, because I couldn't figure out how they would allow that to happen, but it almost did.
I'm just saying I can't wait for break.
I'll tell you during the break. It's going to be a really interesting break, and then people are going to be like, oh man, what's this story?
All right. So at some point, we'll get a chance to take care of all that. Excuse me. Matt OG's here.
Hello.
We were explaining that it would be a little bit because of the new schedule.
Yes.
You're a man with a real job.
I am.
And you have to come from job 1 to job 2, which is not in Manhattan, so it would take you a little time.
Indeed.
So I guess this is probably how it's going to work out. I mean, today was nice, but I can't imagine every day is going to go as smooth.
Actually, today was a kind of a flip of the coin. I probably would have been here a few moments earlier, but I guess there's a Is there a Yankees-Mets game tonight? I don't know. I'm not a sports guy. I think there's a baseball game tonight. The trains were packed. Penn Station was a nut house.
Okay.
So that kind of slowed everything down for me a few minutes. I might have actually been on time if it wasn't for that.
Well, we have to figure out sometime this weekend. There's going to be some issues next week.
Okay.
Because even the company sent out an email and said everyone's got to plan accordingly because we're kind of effed here in New York for Thursday and Friday.
Oh, right.
Traffic-wise, because the Pope will be in town.
Yeah.
And
it's a Popa.
It's a the Pope.
You know, of course, wherever the Pope is international news. But for people in New York and the tri-state area, the news has been starting to drill in now. Like, here are the streets that are going to be closed. There's no exceptions. There's no alternate routes. You got to find your way in. And there's things where they're closing off the streets around here at 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. So even if you got in here to work on time, you know, or early so you can park your car, there's no guarantee that you're going to get your car out. No, right. When the show, and like when Opie and Jimmy are done, Kenny drives in, I drive in, the Stangles drive in. So we're trying to figure out, it says 6th Avenue and this street and everything. So we don't know. Does that mean we can't go to 6th Avenue? Can we drive backwards? Sometimes they allow you to drive backwards on the street to 7th Avenue to get out. Nobody has any answers. So we're all trying to figure out, are we going to be able to come in and do this stuff, or what are we going to do?
It's going to be crazy.
Friday night is going to be a problem trying to get here to get everything done for the show.
Sure.
So, we're working all that out. I want to be here. I would like to do the show. We have some great guests next week, which we'll get into later. Oh, we didn't even get into the guests this week. I got to announce that. But next week is the big Pope.
The Pope's coming in?
The Pope's coming in.
No shit.
No, I'm not kidding. I think at some point he's going to be here at Sirius because the Catholic channel is here.
Oh.
It's down that way on there, and it's run by the what is it? The Diocese of New York? I don't know the terminology. I'm a really
the Archdiocese.
I'm a really poor Catholic. I gave up when I was in the teens, so I don't know anymore.
He cashed in his cross. He was like, "I'm out.
I'm done. I'm going to the diner.
Hand in these Jesus chips."
So he might be making a stop here. I'm not 100% sure, but St. Patrick's Cathedral is 3 blocks from here,
sure,
at most. So that's going to be a nightmare. And then I think he's stopping at the UN. He's going to be everywhere. So
we could ask him his opinion on Batman versus Superman. I'm sure he'll have some.
I'm sure he
the
has
Pope
some.
is an Iron Man fan. I don't know why he's Italian when he's from Argentina or something like that.
We'll just have to show him the Popa sketch from the state when he comes in and be like, is this an accurate representation of what it's like when you go to a restaurant?
This Pope might joke around a little bit.
I feel like this Pope would.
Yeah, this is Pope Fancy Pants. He's kind of
You're a papist, is what it is. Matt, how you been?
I'm all right. Again, a little winded, but otherwise I'm good.
Do you need to do some calisthenics, some deep knee bends?
No, I am sitting comfortably now. I need to get some food in my system, but other than that, I'm
yeah,
peachy
we were
keen.
thinking about ordering, and then we kind of forgot to do it.
I brought you food.
Oh, you did?
I brought food. I was in Chinatown today, and I bought some weird potato chips.
Nice.
So we can try all these on the air.
I'm going to smack the hell out of those potato chips.
While you're getting that, someone wants to ask Gittles a question real quick.
Right.
Let's go to Nick in Richmond. Nick, what's up?
Hey, Gittles, I got a question about the transfer package that you do. You said you were waiting for the transfer bar to go over.
Yeah, well,
how big is that package, and like how quick is the line going to LA?
Well, the package is just going down to like our EVS trucks, which does the feed live to the satellite. So that stuff we have on a fiber connection that goes right down to the truck. But even so, those files are in full HD, so they'll be like 10 to 12 gigs at a time.
Do you master in like 1080p, or do you guys go to 4K?
TikTok.
Sometimes I feel like I don't know 100% of what we do for the 4K stuff because I don't do too much of the online, but we definitely do it in 1080, and I know we shoot in 4K because we shoot on Red and 5Ds and every other camera available.
This is probably what Roland hears when we're talking about tech stuff in the office, because Roland will go, oh, he can't do it because the T90 line's not working and he doesn't have a 1080 whatever, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
To me, it just sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Exactly. But yeah, so we have like a pretty fast connection down to that truck, and that's how we would do it all. It was pretty crazy.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. I like the nerd aspect of it. It's kind of cool. But it was cool hearing about what you guys do. I appreciate it. And great show, guys.
Thanks, Nick. We
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
it. Thanks, man. Tell 2 friends if you could. Paul, real quick, before you go do what you have to do there. When we were talking about the technical delays and how things weren't, may not be there in time, what's the backup? What did you say about the Colbert Show?
Colbert, on his first debut show, had file transfer problems where it took literally to the last minute, where it was like 11:20 and they officially got the show in.
That's basically what happened to us. It was like down to the wire. We had probably about 5 minutes to spare by the time we finally got it to the truck.
It's amazing too, because with the way Colbert, at least for the first show, have any of you been watching the late show with Colbert? It's been pretty good.
It's just like the Colbert Report, but
I'm still dying.
You are dying.
Eric, are you okay?
I hope so. I got.
You know what the problem is, right? No sugar.
He needs a lungeotomy.
Yes, I need sugar.
You need sugar.
Kool-Aid,
Yeah, he does need sugar.
Screw the water.
Coat that throat. Get rid of that cough.
Ugh, yeah.
Spoonful of sugar, right? Isn't it Mary Poppins?
Spoonful of honey.
There
syrup.
you go.
You done?
Sure.
Okay.
More sugar.
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 What was I just talking about?
Colbert Report.
Thank you, Colbert Report. You threw me off because now I'm thinking of Kool-Aid. The Colbert Report, the first show, it took, what did I say? Oh, not Colbert Report anymore. My bad. The Late Show. Took like 3 hours to tape the 1 hour show. And I was like, what? They kept going back and restarting and taping, and they admitted it on the air too, that the thing almost didn't make it to broadcast, and how long it took to edit the show and what have you. And the way that late night TV is usually done, at least in the case with Letterman, it's taped the straight hour. Whatever happens, unless they really have to edit something, it just goes. And the tape runs even when they go to commercial. They don't stop. So they're timing out the commercials. It's dark as far as the feed goes. The band's playing. Maybe the Dave comes out and talks again to the people or whatever, and then they come back to the show, and it's all, plow through it, 1 hour and done.
Yep.
So now that a lot of these shows, and Fallon doesn't do that either. Fallon will tape stuff, then he'll do the promos after the show, but then he'll do band performances after the show is already done, and then they mix them back in. Like, all these shows are doing all these extra things. So it seems kind of cool. You're getting all this content, but it also seems kind of risky in the case of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, that 11:20 they finally get it to the network, and it goes on at 11:35. So, like, how do you fix that?
I don't know. That's a very good question. You just
Start earlier.
Hope there's no technological problems. I mean, that's just what happens. It's just sometimes like a system goes down or something doesn't work, or like I've had weeks at work where, and not on this job, on other jobs, where one hard drive would fail on our like backup system, and we would be shut down for a week and a half because they would have to make sure all that media is backed up somewhere, and then they put in a new hard drive, test all the fail. Like, it's a big deal if something goes down, because everything is digital now. So now, like, you can't go back to a tape. It's like, oh, what do? We don't have tapes. So everything's on hard drives. So if a hard drive gets wiped or something happens, you're fucked.
Man, that's insanity. Imagine you had this big multi-million-dollar production, and one hard drive shits the bed, and that's the final master. And then they're like, "Oh, we got to grab the backup," even though they have the copies. But this was the one that's transferring, and now all of a sudden, it's like you're going live in a matter of minutes. You have to run and find the other hard drive to get it up there.
I kind of think you need a backup of the backup of the backup.
You do.
Like I'm thinking like in a gun holster. Like, one goes down, you just pip the other one up.
Well, when we had the media come in, we would back it up in 4 different places at once. So,
yeah,
and each card we'd get in was like 160 gigs of media, and we get like 10 or so in at a time. So we'd have to back it up to the Strongbox, which is in the cloud, and then we have it on our ISIS system. It's called ISIS, not the terrorist group. It just has a horrible coincidence name. It was called Unity before, ironic. But so we have a backup there, and then we have another hard drive that we back everything else up to. So it's just, you have to like triple and quadruple failsafe yourself.
That's insane.
It's insane.
Can't you just do the old FTP?
Well, we do use FTP all the time.
Little cyberduck makes everybody's day a little bit better.
Right. Play my .move photo file and then throw that up on network. It's great quality.
Yeah.
Right off the phone.
HD.
Let's talk about some of the guests that we're going to have on here today.
Yeah,
our first guest is right outside, so we'll get to him in a moment. We have Ken Cage from Airplane Depot. He was on Opie and Jimmy before. He's good for it. Repo, sorry, not Depot.
I was like, I need to go get an airplane. I need to go to
Roland's
Airplane
yelling
Depot.
in the back there. He's like, Repo, no, what are you doing? Airplane Repo. All right,
I heard that.
So he's now going into the beer business.
Nice.
He teamed up with a brewery, and they came up with a beer that they're bringing in here for us to talk about and try and all that good stuff.
Huzzah.
A little later in the program, we're going to talk to Colin Hanks.
Oh, nice.
Big time actor, has a brand new show on CBS called Life in Pieces. Also has a documentary called All Things Must Pass, The Rise and Fall of Tower Records.
Oh,
which is really awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I mean, I kind of worked in that industry. I worked for like Sam Goody and Suncoast and stuff like that. So I kind of was there during a lot of that hoopla. So it'd be interesting to Check that out, yeah.
Right, so we'll talk to him a little bit. And then later in the program, tomorrow is the Season 9 premiere of Doctor Who.
Oh, wow, that is tomorrow, isn't it?
Tomorrow night, it's 9 p.m. on BBC America, and then for those in Canada, it's on the Space Channel up there at 9 p.m. So brand new Season 9, which everyone's excited about, especially if you're a Doctor Who fan. If you're not, you don't give two shits about it.
So I have a question. Has this aired recently? Has this aired in the UK already, and now it's just coming to America, or is this all just at the same time?
It'll air earlier. It'll air 9 p.m. In England at their 9 p.m., which is, 6 hours ahead of us. And then it'll air 9 p.m. On our time here in the United States and across the country, across the world.
Okay, I didn't know if it was something where, like, it airs there, like, a season before, and then it comes here, like, a month later or something like that.
Like 2 or 3 years ago, BBC America realized that the U.S. fan base was both ravenous and had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so they started as simultaneous as I can get. I remember it was either last season or 2 seasons back also, they actually aired the season premiere at 3 p.m. in the U.S. to coincide.
Was it the premiere or was it the movie? I think.
Maybe it was the movie.
It was the 50th anniversary movie called The Day of the Doctor.
Okay.
And they decided to air it on British time, but whatever it translated to around the world was live around the world.
Live around the world,
that's cool. Which is something they don't normally do for something that's pre-recorded. That's a news event or a disaster or some kind of emergency or things like that get broadcast live. But to put all that coordination for a movie to be live around the world at the very same time was pretty impressive. So later in the program, we're going to talk to the cast of Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi, Jenna Coleman, Michelle Gomez, and the current showrunner for Doctor Who, Stephen Moffat.
Nice.
So that'll be on later in the program here. Let's get to Ken Cage. Roland, you want to go bring them in here? Airplane Repo, not Depot. And he has a new beer that he's been talking to me for a while. He's like, I know you guys like beer. I know this might be something you're really going to get into. I said, okay. And the guy showed up at 4:00. I'm like, I don't know I can't start drinking now. Although I do appreciate it. We'll save it for the air and be responsible. And get drunk on the air there. Hey, Ken.
Really? Depot?
Yes. Thanks, Roland. He didn't hear it, and I'm glad you had to tell him about that.
Out there.
That's where I get my airplanes.
Right.
At least you got the airplane right. We'll count that.
How you doing, man?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. This is Matt, and that's Gittles. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Hello,
Great
how's
to
it
see
going?
you guys.
Great to see you too, man.
And that's your buddy, what's your name there? Mike?
Stiglitz. Yep.
Take a seat right over there.
We just call him Stiggs. Keep it easy.
Stiggs. All right. Now, you know him from the TV show, but you're venturing into uncharted territory for yourself.
You're not even kidding. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, Mike and I met. There's a thing outside of Philly, one county, that it's kind of we're our own little group. So we're from Delco, and that Delco thing carries weight in Philly. So we got to meet each other, and his brewer is also from the area, and he told us about the brewer who's won 29, I think, national awards for brewing. So he's like, well, let's do something together. I'm like, heck yeah, if we're getting a brewer that's got 29 national trophies, I'm in on that. I'm riding that coattail all the way in. So we worked together, and we developed a beer called Yahtzee Ale. It's an English bitter.
Yep, English bitter IPA.
Don't say
4.4%.
You're not allowed to say IPA. Eric already warned me about that.
Oh, okay.
No, you can. I'm not a fan, but you can say whatever you want.
How are you not a fan of IPAs, Eric?
Because a lot of there are some that are good, but it's just not the taste for me. Like, I tried a lot of different IPAs, and I'll keep trying different IPAs, but that just doesn't sit with me.
We've tried several different IPAs on this show,
right?
And I would say I'm 50-50.
Right.
For whether or not they hit or miss for my taste buds. So
it's all depending who makes it. Yeah.
What is it about the IPA that gets you?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's usually, mentally I just see it and I go, oh, no, I'm not.
Honesty, that's good.
It's true. But I don't know. It's just something about that particular way of making beer. It seems like nothing to me.
Like nothing.
Like I like a heavier style beer.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when I drink, Oktoberfest stuff is coming around. That's that heavy brew, and I kind of like that. But I drink more like a Spaten.
Okay.
Like that kind of thing. Some kind of maybe a Pilsner, if you will. But the IPA stuff is always hit and miss with me.
All right. I couldn't tell you what I like. I like what I like, and I don't prejudge based on the IPA label like some people, but
I'm not a beer snob, as some people like to call themselves. And when we sat down to talk about it, I'm like, this has got to be, for me, I'm not a heavy beer kind of guy.
right.
I like to stay active, and so I'm like, it's got to be something you can sit in the backyard, crab fest or whatever, barbecuing, and have a couple beers comfortably.
Oh, hell's yeah.
And that's what I like, and that's kind of what we wanted to gear towards. So we launched it on Wednesday night for the finale of Airplane Repo, and everybody loved it. So I think it's only right that we share some. So we brought some up for you guys too.
Awesome.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about it and then not let you have some. So
Yeah, don't be selfish.
Exactly.
They're going to get some cups right now for us. So you decide to go into this business, and there's a lot of people who think that making beer is easy because you can buy those kits at like Kohl's or something like that. Brew your own beer at home, and I'm like, look at me, I'm a hipster, or I'm making my own, quality American heartland kind of brewery kind of thing. And a lot of people just don't get it right. They can follow a recipe, but there's always something more than just following the recipe or the technique to doing it. There's a lot of people who learn from that, and then they go, you know what? I kind of like to tweak it a little bit. I do this a little more. I take a little bit of this out. I add some other stuff in there, and that's what makes a good beer, because it's not just the ingredients and the process, it's the person making it, like any kind of cook, any kind of chef.
absolutely.
I was going to say, I'm an Italian, so I have my great grandmother's gravy recipe, right?
I thought you were going to say hair.
No. So, yeah, I have her hair too. She passed it on to my grandmother, passed it on to my father, who passed it on to me. If we were all to make, my grandparents are no longer with us, but if we were all to make it at the same exact time, they wouldn't taste the same.
Exactly.
But we all use the same recipe, but there's a little bit of patience, there's a little bit of, especially some of those recipes, a little bit of guesswork. A pinch to one person is not a pinch to somebody else.
Yeah. There's no exact, it's not like they're doing teaspoons.
Right.
They're doing here a little dash of this, a little pinch of that, and over the shoulder, and right.
Yeah. So with beer, it's the same thing. The recipe is only one piece of the equation, and then it's the maker himself. I'm sure the equipment plays a little bit of a role in it as well, and it's a lot of different pieces that go into that puzzle.
There is, and then one thing about me with Airplane Repo, and obviously with my company, International Recovery Group, we take pride in being the best.
Sure.
We've got 2,000 repos of boats and airplanes in the last 9 years.
Wow.
That's a big number. So I don't want to work with just any Joe. And then, so when I met Stiggs, we got along right off the bat, but he's like, Bob's the brewer. And, when I heard about the awards, 29 national awards, that's
Nothing to laugh at.
No, that's a big deal. So I'm like, that's
It's like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I would say he knows what he's doing.
So I'm not trying to get in there and throw my pinch or my dash in there. It's like, Bob, let's talk about what we want to do, and you're the genius.
Sure.
You be the genius. Yeah, I'll stir, and I'll take temperatures, and I'll get involved a little bit. But this is Bob. And the guys at 2SP, and every beer that I've tasted there is amazing, and the Yahtzee's the same.
So how many different kinds do you guys have now? Is it just the one kind, or do you have a couple of different brews?
We've got 5 with us today.
Oh, awesome.
We're up to about 16 total brews with a couple still in the tank that haven't come out. Our 2 brewers, we have Bob Barrar and Andrew Rubenstein. We call him Ruby, and basically Bob's the nuts and bolts. Bob's the meat of the organization. Bob, as Ken said, has 28 medals combined between GABF and World Beer Cup, most of which are for his Russian Imperial Stout. He's the most awarded for Russian Imperial Stout out of any brewer in the world, and he's got the longest streak for any one beer for years going over GABF. So basically, we went out. I worked with Bob years ago, found him, but Bob is not. There's nothing sexy about Bob. Bob is a giant hulk of a man. He's like a caveman. But you ask Bob, how do you do this?
It's kind of what you want in your brewer.
Yeah,
if he has the time to groom, he doesn't have the time to dedicate to the beer.
No, he's got a foot-long beard, straight down off his chin.
He's got a manicure.
And he's slapping around hoses all day, and it's not a sexy
Slapping
job.
hose? Nice.
It's slapping hose all day.
Yeah.
His hands
This is an awesome brewer.
hands are chewed up by chemical and everything. But you ask him, Bob, how do you do this? And when Ken was there, and Ken and him are brewing together, and you're looking at this, and Bob, how do you do this? It's like, I don't know. He doesn't know. He just knows how to do it, and he knows what to look for. And yes, there's a scientific side of it, but it's just mostly hard work all day, every day, and it's incredible. But so our beers, realistically, We have 6 flagship, 6 core. We have one that's called Delco Lager, which is a 4% lager, similar to something like a Yingling or Boston Lager.
See, that would I love. Yeah,
but that one, I brought that with us. That one we're at 4% because Bob's dream is I want to make the perfect lager, but I want to be able to drink it all day long and make it sessionable. So we've got, like I said, 6 core beers and a bunch of other one-offs that they do. Now on the other side, we have Ruby. He's the finer edge. He's the barrel guy. He's our cellarman. We just got a cask that came over from Spain, a big 40-barrel fooder that was made to use. It was used to make several brandies and then a few other rounds after that were just turned into grappa. And then we also have a Barolo cask, 600-gallon Barolo cask that we got from after its only first use for the one wine. And they shipped that over, and now he's working on that. So we've got Bob on one side and Ruby on the other.
So does the different alcohols, will that make a different flavor? Like getting the like a Barolo cask or a barrel, will that have impart a different flavor than say like a whiskey barrel?
Absolutely. So a whiskey barrel is going to be a bourbon barrel, something of that nature where you're going to have a char inside of it, unless it's for whatever reason they call it a blonde whiskey barrel. But for the most part, you're always going to have a char inside of it. You're going to be able to use it maybe twice and get that char out of it along with the wood. And then the char's gone. In this instance with what Ruby's doing with the Barolo cask, he filled it up with an old ale. And basically it's going to sit now. It's been sitting for 3 months, 3 more months. We're going to pull it out. And you already can taste a lot of the tannins from the wine inside it. He's going to drain that off, take it down to the bottom. And then he's going to go back into it using it just as a vessel really. Because most of the red wine at that point's been stripped. That flavor into the beer has been pulled out. Wine not being as high in alcohol as, distilled liquors like bourbon and whiskey, you're going to get some more of that bourbon and whiskey in from the wood. But after the wine's in there once with all that beer, it's churning around, it's pretty much gone. So now you just have a big, beautiful vessel, which looks great. Most breweries, if you see them online, everybody wants to have their showpiece. It's not just about stainless steel. But, we have stacks. We have 50 stacked bourbon barrels that are filled with different stuff between Russian Imperial. Today we filled some white wine barrels with a Belgian triple. We use the same Belgian triple. The other day filled some rum barrels. So there's just a whole lot going on. But essentially, in your smaller barrels, you're going to get the flavor out of them with the whiskey and bourbon after 2 runs. With the wine, you're really going to use them after 1. And you go to the West Coast for Russian River, they'll take wine barrels because they're so readily available. And they'll take a beer, put it inside, and they'll infect it with Brett or lacto. And then they'll just keep reusing that barrel and leave that infection in the barrel and that little bit of sour and infection from previous beer. They might pull out 40 gallons and leave 10 in, add new beer in, and just keep going. So you could have a beer that, like Supplication or Damnation that's been around for, it
the
really...
beer that never ends.
That's right.
Basically.
And it just keeps, the nuances just keep going.
That's awesome.
The whole barrel market thing is amazing that... Whoever, way back in time came up with the idea that oak makes, the best use for barrels and then reusing them, not just for the product you're making. It's like you said, the whiskey barrels, we're going to brew beer in it. Like, who thinks of that? And then when you do it, it's like, it's hard to get these things because now everybody's like, oh my God, these guys invented it. Now they're buying all the whiskey barrels and then you can't do everything.
I'm guessing it was a happy mistake.
Yeah.
Someone got a barrel and they're like, well, I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to use it for something. They used it and they were like, holy shit, this is good stuff.
Guy was ready to get fired. Now he's getting promoted.
Exactly.
Well, I was at Smorgasburg last week and I bought a bottle of maple syrup because it was made in whiskey barrels and it has this really smoky maple taste to it. It's amazing. It's pretty good.
Whiskey maple.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Can you buy a bottle of that and bring that in?
I will.
Okay.
This beer is awesome.
I'm going to try.
Which flavor is this?
This is the Yahtzee Ale. This is Ken and Bob's beer. And essentially, this is a bitter. And this is brewed because Ken came in and Ken said, listen, guys, I'm from Delco. This is, I don't need a foo-foo beer. I'm not looking for some big, gorgeous floral IPA, something that you're going to hate. And, Bob said, okay, talked to him for a little while. They came up with this. And it's just a straightforward bitter.
It's good.
It's really smooth.
It's really good, yeah.
I think it's wound out at 4.2%. It was gold for 4.4, but, we didn't take it quite that far. So it's very, very drinkable.
Is it Yahtzee spelt like the game?
Yahtzee is Y-A-C-H-T.
Y-A-C-H-T.
Like yacht?
And then
Like
C.
C.
So let Ken tell you the story.
I like that.
Whenever I see it's funny because when I did the first episode, we were filming with producers. I'm quiet when I'm actually repo and stuff because there's so much going on and I'm lasered. So I see my airplane from a fence. I'm like, let's go. There it is. And they're like, no, you can't go yet. The producers, what do you mean? There's my plane. You got to come up with something. You got to show some excitement. Woohoo! No. So they're harassing me for 7 to 10 minutes to come up with something, some exclamation that there it is, and I'm excited. So finally, I'm like, I don't know what you want. Yahtzee. They're like, that's it. So now every time I see something, it's my quote unquote Yahtzee moment. I was getting teased at the first premiere showing because all my friends were there. I had 150 friends there, and they're like, Yahtzee. I'm like, yeah, like when you see a yacht, Yahtzee, like that, not like the game. Pulled it right out of my head, but lo and behold, it stuck. So now I've trademarked the Yahtzee because you see the yacht, and then we used it for this beer, and everybody kind of gets into it.
Could you pour a couple for Paul and Roland over there? Let them try that out as well.
Give Roland a little bit extra; he needs it.
I know earlier you said you were looking for something that you could see yourself sitting, relaxing, outside on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. You could do that. I mean, it's not too heavy. You definitely could have a couple and be comfortable and enjoy yourself.
It's very smooth, and there's no kind of kick from an aftertaste on it. You're drinking and you're waiting. Oh, it's not coming. Okay, this is great. I can keep drinking this.
Right. That's exactly it. Because I am not a beer snob. So right off the bat, I said to these guys, I'm like, you can't have flowers or any kind of this weird stuff in it that everybody is. It's the trendy thing, and it's got to be something that everybody can just enjoy. And this is what we worked on. And honestly, it's Bob, and he let me help. But the idea was to just get a beer that's comfortable. And this is a comfortable... I know when I grill now, I have Yahtzee with me.
So yeah, definitely. This is a great grilling beer.
So now, distribution-wise, is it pretty readily available, or...?
Right now, it's available in Pennsylvania and Delaware.
Okay.
We just started brewing late June. Project's been going on for just a couple years in planning. We just got everything up and running in June. We're self-distributing in Pennsylvania. We're distributing down in Delaware. We have a restaurant group that we're part of also in Delaware and PA, so we're, invaded in both of them. They're just craft brew beer places. So our plan long-term, obviously as we grow, is to increase distribution. But realistically, to feed your market first when you're in Philadelphia, it's not New York, but it's still, Philadelphia is a very huge beer town.
Sure.
We've got to make sure that we can stay on top of that and stay on top of our markets, and then we'll grow from there. Yahtzee right now is essentially a one-off with no distributed intent outside of those two states.
Right.
But based on its drinkability, and, you get into something when you talk about, especially in the brewing world, marketing plays a huge part.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask
no reason why
about distribution and the difficulty I see a lot of craft breweries have with crossing state lines. It's something that you would think would be so simple, and it's almost impossible in certain areas. You have other brews and stuff that are not just Pennsylvania and Delaware, right? Or is everything in your catalog?
Everything that we brew right now only distributes in Pennsylvania and Delaware. You have to go state by state and get approval, and it's not hard. Honestly, what we've come up with, what I figured out right now, is it's really just the distribution piece. It's picking the right distributor. And I don't know how familiar you are with distribution throughout the country, but certain states, Anheuser-Busch and Miller Coors, they basically run the distribution networks. Yep. Because you see a lot of it going on, a lot of purchases right now. The way they're buying up breweries, it's not always necessarily about the beer. It's about buying up that distribution network that's going on. So it's gonna happen. We're gonna continue to distribute outside of Pennsylvania and Delaware, but being our first year, we're just gonna make sure we keep stocking home, get everything running right, and go from there.
What's the nightlife like at the brewery? Are you one of those where you invite people into to a showroom or something like that? They can try everything. There's a bar at the end where you can hang out and have a good time.
Because, like I said, I mentioned we have a restaurant group besides us. So when we designed it, we said we want this to be a place where people can come in. You can go to a lot of breweries and you can sit in the tasting room.
Right.
You sit down. There's cinder block walls. There's a cement floor. There's just beer pouring into small cups. We've got lots of big screen TVs with different feeds. We've got a very comfortable, booth area in the corner. We have a nice stainless steel bar top. We do have a concrete floor that's painted, so it still has that brewery feel. But we really went over and above. We have 20 taps. Right now we're pouring out of 14 of them.
Right.
So it's really a place where you can go and sit and just hang out for the day. And our hours, typically our hours are a good 6 to 7 or 12-hour span, depending on the day. So it's really a destination, as well as, yes, you can look through a big panel of glass and you can see the brewery. And we look to expand that and move on top of that. We have 20,000 square feet. We're only using 8,000 of it right now, but we're locked in so we can continue to grow.
Is it cheaper buying it at the brewery than opposed to buying it from your distributors?
Technically, it should be. what we're doing is this, to be fair. We have customers that are up the street. We have bars that buy from us. I'm not going to, as the business owner, I'm not going to price below you because I feel it's unfair.
Okay.
So we set a price level. I discussed it. I let them all know what our plan was. I'm not colluding on our price, but I said, listen, here's where we think we're going to come in. And they said, well, we're just going to follow your lead, because certainly I don't want people leaving our customers to come see us. At the same time, if you come in and get a growler from us and fill up there, it's going to be a little bit cheaper probably than other growler places, because they're going to have to buy the keg and then they're going to have to pour off.
Sure.
I don't know what their margin is going to want to be on it.
Do you ever? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and where exactly is the brewery again? I'm sorry, I missed it earlier.
We're in Aston, Pennsylvania. We're just about 10 miles south of Philadelphia on 95. We're about a mile off 95, so.
You need to put a big billboard up there so all the people heading down to Florida, it's like, stop then and fill up as you're driving down 95. Do you guys ever do specialty brews that are just exclusive in-house?
Currently, we have 3 that we've brewed that are just exclusive in-house. A lot of it has to do with TTB labeling. TTB is the Tax and Tobacco Bureau, federal government arm. Getting things through them quickly is not, as you can imagine, always the easiest thing to do.
Right.
So we've had a few that we've done just at the brewery. We try not to, because we want, people stop in and they have it, and then they want it other places. We do have a couple names that we did invest in and trademark. It was kind of extensive 6-month process, but those will be brewery only releases, and we will do the reserve bottles, 750 milliliter bottles that'll be brewery only releases as well. But currently our plan, as we're brewing, because we just got up and going, is we're pretty much distributing most of what we got.
Okay. I'm loving this.
Yeah, man, I want to go.
Cool.
I'm going to be in South
I'm
Jersey
gonna pass
this weekend.
cup back to you in a moment there and go for round 2 on this stuff.
Did you request the short pour?
No?
I got 4 other beers, guys.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to get you to drink those so we can move on.
I took the train specifically knowing that he was coming with beer, so I didn't have to drive.
Here's the bottle.
And
Just pass it this way. Just ignore those 2 guys.
Not to pat ourselves on the back, but this is now officially our 3rd or 4th beer show.
I think 4th.
4th? So we've done this once or twice. We can handle it, is what I'm saying. But I'm ready to try the other 4. I mean, the
I can't wait
was
to try it.
absolutely
Let me
delicious,
finish this up here, and let's go for what the next one is.
So I'm trying to convince Ken to get some of this stocked into like a fridge that he accidentally happens upon inside a yacht that he repos one day.
That's going to happen. That is going to
That
happen.
would make interesting TV for me.
Yeah. What do we have here?
Make sure you check the rest of the yacht before you do that, because if they check the fridge, oh look, there's Yahtzee, and then they're ripping up the couches and there's vials of Coke.
Oh, jeez.
Mexicans.
Yeah. Human trafficking's going on. And it's like, wrong boat. Damn it. Well, we got the plug out, so that's what's important.
That's important.
Would you, for your thing here, would you work out a deal to kind of integrate it into the show? Like before you go out on your missions and whatever to repo things, but if you're just hanging out at the office, having it sitting on the desk or something like that, do you think they could ever work that out, or is that still something like you have to pay for that integration?
You know what? The network's difficult with that, which is fine. Even my own logo. The first year, they didn't want my own company logo in there. This year, I wore that same old blue shirt every single episode, the polo shirt. So you have the small logo, but they're not big into a lot of logos.
Okay.
Or any kind of that stuff. So, I doubt it would happen. But who knows?
Who knows?
There's a price tag for everything, right?
What's beer number 2 there?
You have your choice. You can move into Delco, which is a milder version of Yahtzee. It's our Delco lager. So the Yahtzee is a bitter ale. Delco lager, obviously being a lager, like I said, is the one that's going to follow the Yingling path, but with no backup bitterness taste to it like Yingling has.
Let me try that one.
Okay.
I'll pass that
After
one.
that, you can jump to your favorite double IPA.
Oh, nice.
Double.
Woohoo! Eric said he likes heavier beers. I don't understand.
That's
a double
exactly what I
IPA, it's
heard.
pretty heavy.
That is.
Let's get him a bottle of the Arrogant Bastard and be like, oh my god.
Exactly.
You'll never taste anything again for the rest of the night.
Pass my cup down there, Gittles.
All right.
Either that or pass the...
Here, I'll just send it down that way.
Yeah, it might be
There
easier.
you go.
Do you want the growler down there?
Yeah, that might be.
So this beer is Delco Lager. It's an American Vienna red lager, and basically Bob, who's our brewer, Bob Barrar, he's from Delco, where Ken, Bob, both born and raised there. That's their playground. And when we went to open the brewery, I said, all right, Bob, you're a partner. What do you want to do? And he's like, the only thing I care about brewing is Delco Lager. It's like, I want to brew a Delco Lager. He said, but I want it to be sessionable, 4%, easy to drink. People can take it to the Eagles game. People can take it to the Phillies, whatever they want to do, because we're all right here, and this was his goal. And it's become very popular, obviously, because in Delaware County, what they call Delco, every corner bar wants to have it. And if you look up Delco in Urban Dictionary, it says there's 41 bars for every library. And I'm here to tell you that I've discovered since working in that area, it's absolutely true. And everyone
there's that many libraries? I don't think there's that many libraries.
I think there's half of one. It's almost torn down at this point. So there's a good 60 bars in a very small area, and it's amazing to me how they've clamored to get this beer, because it is very easy. Not a lot of body, just an easy drinking, sessionable lager.
Yeah, this is really good. I like that a lot of breweries are doing session lagers now, because I really like going out and drinking beers, but the problem is some of these craft breweries are so strong, I'm drunk after 2 of them. Just might cut down on so much drinking, but like these session beers are great. You can get all the flavor and just not get wrecked.
I was going to say, it's nice to have something that's this easy to drink that doesn't taste like just dirty water.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, you know what? Good point, because it's got a really rich taste to it.
Yeah.
And it's not killing you.
Right.
It's
really
sometimes
good.
you drink those and it's always good, but then it sits heavy, and like you said, the aftertaste, you're like, oh, I can barely finish the one that I have. You go into that expecting it, because I was looking at it, I was smelling it, and you're like, okay, take it. All right, I'm tasting it. No, it's not that. Just like the other one, you're waiting for that back end to hit and nothing.
Right.
So
it's good stuff.
It is. Well done.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you.
Want to just go back to the phones here. John in Georgia wants to talk to you guys about the old wooden barrel stuff. John.
Hey, Mr. Nagel, thank you for taking my call, and I want to welcome your friends on your show. Very informative.
Oh, thank you. Well,
my wife is very into the homemade breweries now.
Is she any good?
She's my wife.
All right, that means no.
Okay, I just want to comment on the old wooden barrels.
Okay.
I worked in the hardware industry back in the 80s. We used to get the barrels by truckloads from Jack Daniels. They were split in half, and they made planters out of them. What a waste.
Wow.
And if they dried up, they fell apart. You had to keep them wet.
Yeah, that is true. We're soaking them down all the time. When it rains outside, if there's a mist, we carry all the barrels out with the forklift and let them get rained on. So they swell on the outside, which keeps them sealed up on the inside.
That's all I wanted to say. Thank y'all. I'm sitting on my patio. It's 80 degrees in Georgia, and I'm enjoying a cold beer.
All right. Well, it's not the beer that they're promoting, so we're not going to say it.
Free stuff.
John, we'll put you on hold. Paul will get your information, and I'll find something to give you, all right? You know what? Actually, I have something here I can give you. I can give you a copy of Furious 7 on Blu-ray DVD with the digital HD download. Would you like that?
I don't have the Blu-ray thing, but thank you anyway. Give it to the next caller.
All right. Well, we will do that. Thank you very much. All right. So be it.
So regarding the barrels, out of curiosity, I mean, do they go for big bucks when you have to purchase them? I would imagine probably based on what was in them prior, right?
When we first started, this is how quickly it's taken off in the past couple of years. When we first started this planning in 2013, the barrels, I contracted roughly 30 barrels at that point, before I knew I didn't want to sit on them for that long. Contracting about $110 to $125 each. When I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, please ship them to me. We have cold storage for them now. It was about a year later. They were up to $145 to start, $175 if you wanted to make sure they were real name brand. The kicker on that is when you get the barrels, the barrel heads on both ends are shaved down, or, just plain down, so that the burned mark from Jack Daniels or the big B that comes in any Beam brand from Booker, Basil Hayden, all that, that's all shaved off, and it has to be redone on the front with a new score, a new burn mark by the actual whatever barrel producer then cleaned them up. They do tell you with a code what they are, so we just write on it with Sharpie, and clearly there are some barrels out there in the market you can get that still have that end on it that shows it's Jim Beam brand or Jack Daniels. We have some Woodford Reserve ones, some Elijah Craig. The Elijah Craig and Woodford Reserve, we paid $225 for, just for the barrel. The kicker for me as the owner, my brewers say, okay, we want this barrel. Well, that's great. You can price the beer that comes out of it appropriately. You figure, throw an extra $225 into it. You've already fermented it. Now it's just a vessel to impart flavor. The bigger problem on that is, okay, for every 2 barrels you buy, now you got to buy a barrel rack.
Oh, yeah.
So add $150 to the 2 barrels, and all of a sudden that's another $75 a barrel. So it's not necessarily something that you look at from my standpoint. I look at it and say, wow, I'm wasting money. I look at it and say it's an investment. The first 2 rounds with the flavor that comes out of them is great. After that, you still have a vessel you can continue to use to age stuff in. And, at some point, there's going to be other startup breweries that are just going to want barrels, and then you can always sell them off. I mean, the realistic side of it is if you really want to go in that direction and you want to move them on after you're done with them, okay, there's been 2 rounds in them. You guys want to buy them for 100, I paid 150 kind of thing. So you can get your money back on the investment, but it's more what you get out of it in those first two unknown batches. And a lot of breweries are going to take, say, 50 barrels in the first batch and 50 barrels that have a second run on that barrel.
Right.
And then they're going to blend them. Because that first batch, if you've ever had, out of a real true, just a real wet barrel shows up and you have 51 gallons of liquid in there, pull that beer out, some of it's just uncontrollably over, it's just huge. The bourbon that comes out of it, the whiskey flavor, because there's no way to control it. You could re-wet the barrel, which is the barrel comes to you, it's sloshing full of a bunch of crap and burnt up stuff inside, and you pour it out, and it want to make you blind from the fumes. You can fill it up with water and re-wet it so it swells, but then what have you lost? What's already been rinsed out with that water once?
Right.
So you just go in with the beer, and you taste it when you're done, and you say, am I going to blend this with the second generation barrel, or am I going to go with the first generation barrel?
So how do you store it between the first and second? Do you just move it to something stainless steel that's not going to impart any more flavor?
Usually when at that point, and because, oxidization.
Ziploc bags.
Yeah. Oxygen is the beer nightmare.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
It oxidizes real quick. If you're going to pull that bung out of that barrel, you better get your sterile tube in there, get it out, and get it bottled or get it kegged, one or the other.
Okay.
That's it, because you want to get it under CO2 right away, as quickly as you can, so that nothing happens to the beer. And you can just move it. You could move all the barrels together. A lot of big breweries are going to do that. They're going to drain out 100 barrels at a time, move it into a stainless steel tank, keep it cold, and just wait till it's time to bottle. And that's it. And that's totally fine, because once it's removed from that barrel, to be fair, it's not doing anything else. It's already been fermented all the way out before it even goes into the barrel. And in some cases, you might have some live yeast that transfers into the barrel, but you're not going to get an adjustment that's more than 0.1% of alcohol. Right. You're just going to get enough little bit of CO2 that's going to push out through the airlock to keep oxygen from going back into the barrel. So as long as you keep it in the barrel, or you move into something else sealed, you're fine until it's ready to package.
That's what I'm saying, though. If you're going to do the blend, that's got to be a dangerous proposition, because now you have to move it out of that barrel.
You can move it out.
Second generation
and keg
right?
it, and once you keg it, you can put those 2 kegs. After that, you can rack them back together into a bigger keg. Or second generation barrel doesn't have to be that same barrel. You could have 50 of them that you started in January, drain them, and start another 50 in March. And when you drain the January in June, and then you drain the March in, say, September, you can go from, you already have a first generation and another first generation, and then you get your second over here mixed with your first there, because they're closer to get together.
Right. Okay.
If you line it up right, you can match them up pretty good.
Okay.
What's the lifespan as far as a barrel? Because I know they reuse it. Like you said, they're cleaning them out, rebrand it and everything, and you have the item code, so you know the history of the barrels and what have you. But when does it just get to the point where you're like, we can't use this thing anymore?
When it leaks.
When it starts leaking?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, I don't know. I don't want to specifically say what the Bourbon County laws are as far as the char levels or the amount of uses. I believe it's only one use for bourbon once it's charred. That's why a lot of them are bought and sent over to Scotland. A lot of Scotch is done over there in bourbon barrels that have already been fired once, because their laws and their regulations are not so strong. But when we get the barrels, they've already been charred, they've already been used. We can really keep going until, and it's sad. It hurts a little bit when you watch your brewers fill up those barrels for the first time, and you're watching beer pour. I'm saying beer and pour. That's all I'm thinking. Out of the staves. You're just watching this dark, lovely Russian Imperial flood out of this barrel, and you might lose 5 or 6 gallons.
Like a Looney Tunes cartoon where they're trying to shoot the bunny in the barrel, and there's just a bunch of mafia guys shooting, and there's holes everywhere. And
that's
leaking.
right.
How about me, Rock?
Yeah. But there's nothing you can do until it gets wet and the wood swells again, which is one of the reasons why we put them outside in the rain when we can, so the outside swells and seals up. But until you get it wet inside and those barrel staves really interlock, you're going to get some dripping, and it does happen. You can use, there's a brewer's wax they use to seal it up.
Right.
But you can just keep using them till they leak.
But outside of the leaking, does it get to a point where like this is just not giving us the flavor that we want anymore?
On bourbon, you're going to get, most brewers will tell you 2 uses. That's it. So you get a full year out of it depending on how long you're going to age your beer. If you got a 6-month age, our brewers just told us the other day that we put triple in some of them. Allagash Brewing does a beer called Curio, which is a wonderful triple that they put in, they barrel age in bourbon barrels. It's phenomenal. Our brewer does a beer just like that. They put triples in the bourbon barrels, but that's only for 2 months. A triple is a very delicate, a wonderful beer with a lot of subtle nuances. If you let that sit in a bourbon barrel, nobody's going to want to drink it after 3-4 months. But he goes, anywhere from 30 to 60 days. Whereas his Russian Imperial Stout, we can just stick that in a barrel and let it sit for 6 months, a year. There's some barrel programs where people will let them sit for a year or two.
Jeez, so much about barrels. I didn't even realize. Like I knew.
It's fascinating.
I know they're. Yeah, I went to.
It's an ingredient.
It was in '99. I was over in Scotland, and I went to one of the
jealous
the factories, whatever they call it, distilleries where Scotch is being made, and I'm watching the whole barrel process, and they didn't explain what he just did. That there was just barrels sitting out everywhere, empty in the middle of this field. But it's just kind of kids are running around it and jumping off of them. But I had no idea that's what they were doing. They were leaving them out just so they would get get wet and expand and everything else had to do. But going through, everything has to do with the barrel. Like they have the brew that they're making, but everything has to do with the barrel.
And for beers, I mean, when you're talking about, you're talking about the third step or you're talking about down the line. You're not even brewing it in the barrels. You're transferring it just to get something extra in there.
That's right. It's just basically, like you said, it's an ingredient. It really is. It's an ingredient / tool because you're trying to get the flavor out of the barrel based on what's been stored in the barrel originally, and you're also using it as a vessel for additional aging. So it is. I mean, technically, the beer's already made. The beer we put in these barrels, we don't make them and say, "Hey, now we got to put it in a barrel to finish it." The barrel's supposed to add something to it. The barrel adds the nuances, the flavor, stuff like that. The beers going into the barrels are already completely done and could easily be thoroughly enjoyed that day when they go in.
So, out of your entire catalog of beers, how many are barreled versus not? Like, how many are just pure, they're done, they're ready to go and drink, and how many are, roughly?
Roughly, I would say right now we're probably shooting for like a 10% barrel aged. Something like Yahtzee, you could certainly put in a barrel, and I'm sure that it would pick up some nice bourbon flavor because there's bourbon in the barrel. But the higher the alcohol in the beer, obviously there's in the flavor world, there are alcohol soluble flavors as well. So the higher the alcohol, the more flavor it's going to strip into it, the more flavor it's going to accept. So, Yahtzee, very, very, very mild, bitter. It's an awesome beer. You could put it in a barrel, you could save it, you could let it age out, but at a certain point, it doesn't have enough alcohol to protect it from spoiling, and it also is going to take in that bourbon flavor and run over what, Ken and Bob created, which was just a very super well-balanced, easy-drinking beer. You certainly could barrel age it, but it's not something you want to do.
Right. So what's this third one we got?
This third one's called Bellcracker Double IPA.
Oh, yeah, this one's delicious.
It's 8.7%.
That's this one here?
It's going to be very, very floral.
I was going to say it's citrusy a little bit.
A lot of grapefruit notes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm going to try this, and then we have full phones here that want to ask you guys some questions.
Yeah, this one's really good. I like the floral, citrusy notes. And that's all based on the hops, right?
Absolutely. In Bellcracker, I got my notes right here from my brewery. He's just texting me because he's telling me I'm wrong about a million things. No, he's not wrong.
We don't put anything in barrels. What are you talking about?
Just say this. Just say
we don't make beer. What are you talking about?
It's Donkey Kong. He just throws them at you.
It's ladles. It's just
Bellcracker is hopped in the boil with Centennial, Amarillo, Simcoe, and Mosaic, and then we dry hop it again once it's all brewed into the fermenter with Mosaic one more time.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it has like a dry hop taste to it.
So it's definitely this is.
You didn't know that. You're just saying it because he said it.
No, I do know that.
Okay.
Eric.
So are you saying that the citrus
I knew
hints,
the Simcoe hops too.
the citrus hints that are in here are from the hops or not? They're not from any actual sort of citrus.
Nope, not at all.
Element? Oh,
there's
wow.
no citrus element.
Because I would swear
hops.
there's grapefruit in there.
All the hops. It's very, very big on grapefruit. One of the beers right now, Ballast Point makes a great beer called Sculpin. This past year, 2 years ago, they came out with grapefruit Sculpin. And the second I tasted it, I fell in love. So when Bob and I were discussing this beer, and I told him everything I wanted about it, he laughed at me and said, "Shut up! It's not your choice." And I walked away. Well, really, he grunted and said, "It's not your choice," and he walked away.
Not your choice.
And when he started pulling this beer out of the tank after the first time he brewed it, I was like, that's exactly what I wanted. And he goes, no, that's what I wanted, and that's why it tastes that way.
Wow.
Yeah. And those were the words for the day. That was it. That's all he said all day long. That was one sentence. But
Just
really
put his
doesn't
name
talk a
right
lot.
on the bottle. Like, this is Bob's beer.
but it's a great beer. You know, this is one of our most popular beers.
I was going to say it's got a great taste.
It's got that West Coast super hoppy citrus. You know, this is a cross between, I would tell everyone it's a cross between Bell's Two Hearted Ale from Michigan and Ballast Point Sculpin. And they both run around the 7% range, and this is an 8.7%.
I do like the citrus flavor to it, but that's I think where I start to lose it. Where when it becomes overly hoppy, I don't think that's
Like
beer
the
for me.
bittery taste, like on the tip of your tongue.
And I know there's a lot of beers out there that go really far with as far as the hop goes. Like that's only the part of the beer that they're focusing on, and that's not normally for me. This is a love and hate kind of thing for me because I do love the citrus flavoring in it. It is rather easy to drink, but then I'm tasting a lot of the extra hop in the back end here, and I know a lot of people like that, and that particularly isn't my liking for a beer, but this is very good.
I'm surprised because you enjoy grapefruit beer, and for
Right,
me,
but it doesn't have that kind of like I said. I'm trying to think of other things to say than hops because everything.
It's like cloudy. It's like that cloudy, full. I watch people drink this down at the tasting room, pint after pint after pint, and I'm enamored by them. I'm like, that's awesome. You can do that because I have one glass of this, and I'm like, okay, I love the beer, but I'm good. I don't need 4 more glasses.
Paul, do you want to try any of these other ones here that we've had? You're good? Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Eric. I mean, I'm not. It's a delicious beer, but this isn't the one because I want to sit and have 2 or 3.
Right.
And I can't with this
Because I don't think this is one of those beers. I don't think I could. You lured me in with the citrus and the grapefruit, but I don't think I could finish that. If I had a full pint of that thing,
Right.
I'd be like, I'm about halfway. You can finish it.
Yeah.
I could probably do 1 or 2 of these, and then I'd move on to Yahtzee.
And that's
to cap
the
off the
goal.
day.
Yahtzee, baby. That's what we do.
I'm a big IPA fan, but I'm also in the same boat of like having 2 or 3 is kind of like scorching the taste buds on your mouth, and you really can't taste a lot of good beers after that.
Can we go to the phones here? 'Cause
No,
there's
Eric,
a
we
lot of
can't go to
people
the
that want
phones.
to talk to these gentlemen here. Let's go to Chris in Indiana. Chris, how are you?
Not too bad.
What can we do for you, sir?
Yeah, I was just calling. I know you said that you guys typically use oak for the barrels. Now, is there any more any kind of different wood that's more cost effective to use?
With regards to the barrels, we're essentially picking up whatever's put out there by the original distillers. So in this instance, when you talk about wine, almost everything's going to be oak. And, there's all different kinds of oak. There's American oak, there's French oak, there's many different levels, but almost everybody's using everything oak right now. And I really believe it's on the cost basis more than anything, that's what they get their hands on. So as brewers, we're left over with whatever they put out in the market.
Got you. All right. Well, thank you.
No problem, Chris. Thanks for calling. Let's go to Nick in, I don't know, is it Louisiana or Los Angeles?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. West Coast, hello. How are you?
Very good, very good. Great show today. It's fun to listen to all the sciencey parts of what you guys are talking about.
Well, thanks for tolerating us on your drive home.
Yeah, thank you. It's not pretty right now. Although I am looking at the ocean, so I guess I can't complain about that. I use wine barrels and Scotch barrels at work, and
he's an accountant, by the way. Sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Exactly. When we use them, we pre-soak them the day or 2 prior to using them.
Right.
We spray them down with water and then cover them with a big industrial garbage bag to get the wood to swell back up so that when we put it in use the following day, we don't have leakage. I'm just wondering if you guys have ever tried that and if there's a reason why you shouldn't do that when you're using it to make beer.
So I was just writing notes while you were talking because I think you're going to save me a lot of money, buddy. I never thought for 1 second about that. So we're putting these things out in the rain, letting them drip dry, and they're soaking up a little bit, certainly more up top than on the bottom if it's resting on it. But if we soaked it and then we wrapped it up in plastic, that certainly would keep them moist a lot longer.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what our guys are doing with it. We found some big garbage bags that slip right over them, so you don't even need to like technically wrap it. We just spray it down inside, outside, top and bottom, everything. Slide the bag over it and just tuck the bottom of the bag under the barrel. And we let it sit overnight or for 2 days, depending on our workflow. And it never fails. It works perfectly every time.
Hello? Oh, there we go. Sorry, there I go, unplugging things. So basically, I love that idea, and here's what I know is going to happen. I'm going to go back to the brewery, Nick, and I'm going to tell all these guys about this.
Guess what I just thought of?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here. Nick, leave your address where Mike can send you a check for that idea.
That's a great idea, right?
Exactly.
So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go back, and these guys that know more about brewing than me, even though this is common sense and your idea works because you do it every day, they're going to tell me that there's a mold issue or there's a contamination issue or, hey, I just don't want plastic around my barrels on the outside. But I'm going to make them do it anyway because you're going to save me a lot of money and I'm not going to have to watch gallons of beer leak out while I'm waiting for them to swell up.
Oh, great. I look forward to watching your prices drop now that you've learned.
And there it is.
Oh, and he hung up. Bravo, Nick. I was going to give you something, but I guess that would be the way to go on that. Let's go to...
Just drops the mic and leaves.
Let's go out to back to the West Coast. Ronnie in Seattle. Ronnie, how are you doing, sir?
It's Marty.
Oh, well, Marty in Seattle. How are you?
All right. Hey, I was going to ask the guys if they'd been over to Europe and tried and sampled the beer over there. And one specifically is that there's a beer over there called Tuborg Beer, which had the same name in the U.S. Now, it's just horrible, but the one that's in Europe is the best beer I've ever tasted. You know, have you ever tasted it? I'll ask that.
I have not tasted it, but I can tell you that a lot of what I hear, and I think, I'll pay attention to next year if you're a craft brew guy. Stone Brewing Company opened up a brewery in Berlin, and they're going to be the first major brewing company from the United States to open up in Europe because obviously they believe, in the rest of the world at this point, we believe that Europe is totally underserved by craft brew. There's a lot to the truth of the methods that they use in Europe with regards to brewing. There's top fermentation versus bottom fermentation. And, there's a small brewery in Delaware called Stewart's. They do all top fermentation. So
the root beer guys?
Yeah,
all right.
they wish they were. But basically, it all depends on the way the beer's fermented, and a lot of it comes down to the water content as well. Europe's standards for water and the minerals within the water and everything else involved, they don't change a lot of stuff, over here. Now, we don't. At 2SP Brewing Company, we don't actually strip anything out. We take the water just as it comes, right from our water source. Everything gets, everything's held above 185 degrees for at least a day before we brew. So the reality is all the chlorine's gone, and you have just the water that you have from your area, and that's Delco, and that's where we brew. When you think about Europe...
Can I interrupt for a second?
What?
I'm going to get off the phone right now. I'm in traffic, but I just wanted to say that the beer that I had, in comparison to the U.S., I only had 2 glasses, and I stood up, and I had to sit down quite quickly because it got me high really fast. So it was a good beer, and you are right. They do have a good process over there. Thanks for answering my question.
No problem, Marty. Thank you for calling in.
I think he might have been drinking in that car.
I think there might have been
I'm just going to put that out there. He's stuck in traffic,
Well,
all
we
right.
encourage people not to drink and drive, but we don't know what Marty is doing. Let's take one more call here, get back to the beer, and then we got to take a break. We've gone, an hour and 15. Craig in Connecticut. Craig, what's up?
Hey, guys. Listen, I was just thinking about that. With your barrels, you could do what they do with the Florida orange plants and do like a misting. Tip them on the sides, and you can mist them, or you could do the that showering thing that they tried doing at the Auschwitz.
Jesus!
Oh my God!
Whoa!
Jeez!
Right. Like I said, Stone Brewing Company is opening up in Berlin this year. Pay attention.
That's like an ugly turn.
Wow, that took a turn quick.
Does anybody else feel like they're going to try and explain this like Fletch? It's all ball bearings anymore.
I was gonna say, like, well, I know, like, what the other guy was talking about. Like, when I went to the Heineken brewery in Amsterdam, I've never had Heineken that ever tasted like that in the States. Like, every time it comes here, it's skunky tasting, but over there, it was, like, sweet and delicious. And all I could think was, like, why doesn't it say like this here?
You hear a lot about Guinness.
Yeah.
Guinness is the one thing I've heard more than any beer where it's totally different over there than over here. Over and over and over again, that's all you hear.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do we have anything else here that we care to try before we go to break?
Baby Bob Stout, which is the child version of our brewer's world-renowned Russian Imperial. This is a 6%.
Oh, yeah, we got to try that.
This is going to give you a lot of coffee notes in it, but it's also very drinkable, certainly more sessionable than your typical Russian Imperial.
I wish I liked coffee more, because I know people like infusing coffee with tequila, with beer, with everything you possibly can.
So I got to ask then, do the coffee notes come from a coffee infusion, or do they come from something else?
They empty out the Mr. Coffee right into it.
It's grinds.
All those leftover Keurig things, they bottle it in the Keurig cups.
Yeah, they ferment in Keurig cups.
The coffee notes actually come from the black malt, the roasted barley, and the pale chocolate malt that are used in the brewing process.
He had no idea. You're reading that.
I'm reading it right here.
Wow.
Baby Bob, malt, Marisado, two-row, wheat, malt, black malt, roasted barley, pale chocolate, blah, 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 blah.
He's an educated man.
This
is Bob.
It's got a nice heaviness to it. If I was a coffee drinker, I would love this. This is amazing. I'm not a big coffee
and it's
fan,
6%.
but even me, I can dig this. This is pretty good.
It's 6%, so you can drink this. If you're a dark beer lover,
even if it was 1, we'd drink it.
No, but if you're a dark beer lover, but you don't want to be drinking a 9% all the time, but this is great because it's 6%, which makes it much more approachable. Still slightly higher than your typical beer you want to sit back like Yahtzee Ale.
Sure,
but you definitely could get away with drinking a few of these and not be so worried.
And the flavor, I don't think, will overpower you after a couple. I think you could enjoy this.
No, you can settle right in.
Yeah, the problem I have is sometimes you'll have like a stout that's really heavy and it starts to get like this weird soy sauce like taste to it, but this does not have that at all. Like this stays nice and smooth.
That's from aging.
That's from aging?
Yep, that's totally from aging. There's a lot of beers like Sam Adams Triple Bock. I made the mistake, and it's a great beer. It's very well regarded, and people think they love it. But
people think they love it.
I didn't slip up. That's true. They think they love it.
When a Facebook friend us, I don't know.
A beer ages, a lot of different things will come out of it, and soy sauce is something you'll hear a lot with long-term barrel-aged or just aged beers in general. There's the nuance. It's almost like a background weird mushroom flavor that comes through as well. And you either love it.
Mushroom flavor.
Yeah, or you just appreciate it for the fact that you know it's supposed to be there when something's aged properly. That flavor's only there when it's done properly and it's aged over time.
Okay.
Before we go, let me ask you are you a fan of a lot of people now mixing in all the pepper flavoring into beer? Like the jalapeno.
Like the Sculpin habanero one?
Yeah,
that one's spicy.
Yeah.
Sculpin habanero, I did try, and I already talked about Sculpin and grapefruit Sculpin. Sculpin habanero, I think it's great that they did that. You can get halfway through, maybe a third of the way through that beer, and then I ask myself, why am I drinking this if I can drink Sculpin?
Right.
Like, what's the point? It's novelty. Certainly, adding peppers to anything's novelty.
Is it flavor of the moment kind of thing?
It is. Yeah. Sriracha beer right now from Rogue. The bottle looks just like a Sriracha bottle. It's big, bright, and red with a green cap. It's a Sriracha stout. And I tried it, and I spit it out, and I said, I don't ever have to try that again. But there are people that are going to love it. I mean, every beer has its clientele.
Rogue makes some really interesting flavors, too, so I'm not surprised that they would try something like that. But like,
they made a chocolate pretzel one a couple of years ago.
But on a Sriracha, no. Even as a hot sauce, I only want this much. Like, it's just too much.
Not a beer, but I just had a ghost pepper mead the other day, which was really tasty at first drink, but after a minute or two, I was like, "This is not what I'm looking for in a mead." And I enjoy mead, but it was like
these are not the beers you're looking for.
Well, it's a honey wine, so it's not beer at all. But good call, good reference. But yeah, I couldn't do it after like 2 or 3 sips.
Right.
It was too much. It wasn't enjoyable after a couple sips. That first sip was great. Like, oh, this is a great concept. The second sip was like, uh-oh.
We're getting into trouble.
Third, I had to tap out. Here, give it to my wife.
And then the toilet the next day was not pleasant.
No, that was an ugly situation.
All right, we do have to take a break here. Ken Cage and his buddy Stiggs, thank you for coming in here. Did we cover everything that you had? Was there one more? Or
There's one more beer, but you got to take.
Why don't we throw it out there and tell everybody what it is?
All right, we brought our Imperial Pumpkin. Now everybody goes crazy. Everyone goes
We have
crazy.
to try this on
I'm
air.
a basic white bitch when it comes to pumpkin. I'm not even afraid to admit it. I'll try it.
I love pumpkin.
Ours is not a punch in the face. I gotta be honest with you. It's a slight vanilla tone onto the pumpkin spice side of the beer, but it really is a very well balanced pumpkin. And some breweries are going crazy with pumpkin lately in the past couple of years. It's way over the top. Ours is not that way, so we can try it on or off the break your choice.
Not only going crazy with the pumpkin taste, but also the marketing, because pumpkin beer time, you got to have it out in July. It's like they just keep rushing everything out faster and faster just so they can get more of a market for it. But who's drinking pumpkin beer in the middle of the summer?
I don't know. Ichabod Crane.
I would. If it was available, I would. If it was good, I guess you can't always control when the beer is ready. So,
well, I like a good pumpkin beer, but the only ones I ever really like is the pumpkin from
Everybody
Southern
loves
Tier.
that.
Like that's the only one I really like. Every other
coming
one's like too cinnamon heavy or too nutmeg heavy, but that one's
12-ounce
good.
bottles Pumpkin this year.
Really?
Yeah, I think, which is a great direction because they're usually just big bomber bottles, and I think they finally went in the right direction for that beer.
Oh, I like the color on this.
It's a thick pour.
It's because of all the pumpkin.
I think you're going to be shocked. Everybody that tries it, they're all shocked the same way.
Well, it smells delicious.
Like it smells, but then you try it and you're like, wait a minute, it's not abusive.
Oh shit, this is really good.
Yeah, that's what everybody says the same
This
thing.
tastes exactly like a pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
This is really good.
The vanilla notes, it's like pumpkin pie a la mode, but it's not too much.
Yeah, this is a really good pumpkin beer.
That's really good, yeah. It actually tastes... a lot of pumpkin beers, I think they label them as pumpkin, but there's no actual notes of what you expect mentally.
It's more like a Yankee Candle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is really good. This could be my new favorite pumpkin. I'm going to have to go down to Philly this weekend, I guess.
Get a cheesesteak.
I'm going to drive it up.
Some pumpkin.
Just give me an
bring
order.
up some cheesesteaks while you're at it.
Cheesesteaks, absolutely. Hoagies, whatever you need.
I'd take mine with mayo and pickles on it.
Absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Absolutely not. It's
Absolutely
unacceptable.
not.
You can't have a cheesesteak with mayo.
And
Yes, you can.
Oh my God.
What was the actual name of that?
It's killing me.
We're calling it just the Imperial Pumpkin.
Imperial Pumpkin?
It's 7.4%, I believe.
Are you going to shape it like the Death Star on the bottle?
That would be epic.
That would be.
Let's give out the information for people in that area that can check it out, and even people around the country if you want to see it online. And there are websites where people do trading regionally by labeling it other things, but there are ways to find this stuff. But for the official place for this, it's 2spbrewing.com, right?
Correct.
Okay, and it's also the same for Twitter if you want to check them out.
2SP Brewing at Twitter.
And location for people in the area, just give out the address again.
We are at 120 Concord Road in Aston, Pennsylvania, 19014.
So if you're anywhere in the tri-state area or the mid-Atlantic area and you want to make the haul out there, come by. I'm sure they're glad to have you, and just in time for the new pumpkin beer that they've got coming out.
The Imperial Pumpkin.
That's really good.
I think that's it. We covered everything, right?
The season just ended for Airplane Repo.
Okay.
So
who cares? We moved on.
Wow.
Wow! That was kind of a dickish
I wasn't
move.
trying to be dick. The show's...
He's going to repo the beer from you, Eric.
That's why I like Sam Roberts better.
Yeah. Oh, you deserve that.
I guess I deserve
I'm
that.
going to take his side on this one.
I agree.
Adrian, you can isolate that and play that at 9 o'clock.
You got to stick around for Yahtzee Ale 2 when the next season
Yeah, we need
Repo
another
starts
season.
up.
So Discovery's in that deciding place in between. So, if the fans can, I'm at Ken Cage Repo. Let Discovery know you like the show.
Right, well,
we have a ton of people that love the show. Discovery.
It's Ken
needs to
Cage
know.
Repo on Twitter, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
So follow.
So if you follow
and
Ken.
Let's get another season and get some more Yahtzee Ale up here for you guys.
Yeah.
And come back when the season starts so we could talk about it.
I would love to.
You know
do it
what we
right
should
here.
do when we do our was a nice little impromptu thing. Ken was up here not too long ago and he was talking about bringing this up. What we should do is have you back with some of these things. We have some beer guys that we call the Masters of None when they come in here, and
that would be a fun show.
That would be
Jay
a great
gets
show.
beers from all around the world. We did beer pong with some of the most expensive beers ever made.
Every listener was horrified. They're like, "You're playing beer pong
That's
with
a
like Sam Adams
$300 bottle
Utopias?"
of
We're like,
beer.
"Yes, we're doing it."
Here it is, clunk.
Drunk? You're drunk.
I'd like to have you guys back up again, bring some up there, and we enjoy it, but they're more experts than we are for this. Bring it up and join both parties here for one big super show. Those are the shows usually Ope likes to come in, and I know Jim Florentine's been asking when we were going to do the next one here, so he would like to come in at some point, because he's not a fan of the pumpkin beers, and he's been very vocal about it, but he likes everything else. So you should get all that together and have one big super show.
Let's do it. I'm in.
All right, great.
Let's do that.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to speak to Colin Hanks here on It's Erik Nagel. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Colin Hanks.
Hey, man.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
This is amazing to get a chance to talk to you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You walking in, two things just hit me immediately. I'm like, oh my God, you're your dad. And Dexter.
Yes.
I was just like, that's the guy.
I'm the guy that wears really evil-looking makeup.
Right.
It was the makeup that made me scary, I promise.
I think it was more the fact that it was the less you said, the more dangerous you seem.
Ooh, I like that. That's going to be a good lesson.
Because some of the other killers that they have each season usually tend to be quite vocal, telling their story and whatever, and you were not doing that. You were doing the reverse. You were saying less and less, and that made you much more dangerous.
Show, don't tell.
Right.
Yes. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No problem. But that's not why you're here to talk about Dexter.
No, but I can come in and say hello, whore, if you want. I can do that.
And then you could kill me in some way.
Some Dexter fans are very incessant that I say that to them, and it always makes me very uncomfortable.
But I want to talk to you about a whole bunch of different things, but we'll start with Life in Pieces on CBS.
Yeah.
The show premieres on the 21st, and then it's Mondays at 8:30 on CBS.
Yeah.
The trailer that I just saw, the extended one, I think it's like 7 minutes or something like that. Now, watching the show, I'm sure a lot of people would think, oh, this seems kind of like Modern Family. But when you watch further, it's a more realistic, less campy feel to this style of shooting a show and portraying different stories in a family's life than Modern Family. You're not looking at the cameras. You're not going for the joke right away. You're letting things develop and seem like these are natural moments that would happen in a family.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way I describe it is, Modern Family is a show that is seemingly a documentary.
Right.
That's the way that they tell that story, and they do it incredibly well. I mean, that show is hilarious. And for us, the way that we tell each episode of Life in Pieces is told in 4 short stories each week, and each short story focuses on a different family member in what I call an extended family or a multi-generational family. So there's the grandparents, there are the adult children, there are the children of the adult children, and it's basically this large extended family. And it's each short story is relatively quick, but when you see the 4 of them together, these 4 short stories, it paints this picture of this family. And so it's basically just the way that we tell our stories from week to week. And instead of taking 3 stories and spreading them out and incorporating them together, and maybe one story will only be 3 minutes long, but they tell it over the course of 22 minutes. Well, we just tell it in order. Just boom, here's one 4-minute story, here's a 5-minute story, and so on and so forth. And it's a really interesting way to do a comedy, to be quite honest, because you'd actually be surprised how much more comedy ground you can cover.
There's a funeral birthday storyline, which I'll get to in a moment, but it shows everybody interacting. When the other stories are going on, is there like you were saying with Modern Family and stuff, are they always interacting with each other, or for a while is it like, no, they're living their life over here, the brother's over here, the parents are over here, like real life would be?
There's always, it's very similar to that.
Not interacting every day.
Yeah, no, it's not interacting every day. There are certain stories in which it's just one sort of immediate family, and maybe there's one other family member that sort of comes in and does something. But there's always one of these stories that is the whole family together.
Okay.
So there is that, but it really is showing that sort of family dynamic of, in your immediate family, you're talking about just how crazy the rest of your family is, and then you see them with the rest of the family,
right,
and how crazy are they, or saying that I'm not the crazy one, and then you realize, no, that
everyone's the crazy
one.
To somebody else.
Yeah, to somebody else, yeah.
I was just wondering, because until I saw the birthday funeral storyline, I was just wondering, I'm like, if they're all separate, like, let it go for a couple months and then close to Thanksgiving, everyone gets together, and then it just gets way over the top with, you don't know what I went through the last 4 months, and you're piecing it all together.
Well, that's actually one of the things that got me very excited about it, because once I realized the format of the show, I thought it was such an interesting way to do it. I've never seen a show like this before, so that was incredibly engaging because it's something different. I'm always looking for something a little bit different. But it's incredibly fun as an actor to know that our show is establishing its universe, establishing its format. And as time gets on, we're going to be able to play with that convention and tweak it and do things differently. So that once people get used to the way we tell our stories, they'll notice when we do things differently. They'll notice, little changes and stuff like that. And so it's actually one of the most exciting shows I've ever done. After coming off of a show like Fargo that was incredibly different in the way that it presented its story. I'm really excited to be able to do, a network comedy. I never thought I'd do a network comedy. I really didn't, but there was just something about this story and the way that it was told that I thought to be really exciting. And then the cast that we ended up getting, I mean, it's like a dream. Everybody's so great and so funny.
What was the commitment that they gave for episodes, and how many have been shot?
We shot 7 episodes. We're about to start our 8th. And I think we have 12, and then we'll hopefully get.
So this will take us right to about Christmas time.
Oh yeah,
and then see where it picks up in 2016.
Yeah. Oh, we'll hit all the different holidays. We'll have a Christmas episode and a Thanksgiving episode, and hopefully we're all gunning for that Easter episode.
It'd be great. Your father just walks out on the lawn, realizing there's a whole bunch of eggs that nobody bothered to pick up or forgot about, and they're all rotten. He steps in it like you would dog poo.
No, I mean, here's the thing: is so much of the stories that we end up telling have all been pulled from our lives. I mean, there's a scene in the pilot that is pretty much exactly what happened to me. When we shot the pilot, I had a meeting with Justin and Jason, the writer-director, and Zoe Lister-Jones, who plays my wife. And it was just sort of a get-to-know-you meeting. And I told this story about how when my wife and I drove our first kid home, we were basically crying the entire time that we were so happy and it was so incredible and all that stuff. And it wasn't until we walked in through the front door that we realized we were absolutely just scared shitless. And I just thought it was just a funny story that I told. And next thing I know, the next day it's been written into the script, which is very strange because when it's a pilot script, it's that first episode, it's got to be perfect. They don't really want to mess with it too much. It's been obsessed over for months. And so I go, okay, well, that's very kind of them. They're going to write that in. That, they're obviously thinking they need to incorporate it somehow. We shoot it. I don't expect it to be in the pilot. They ended up cutting in a whole other sequence, a whole nother scene in our section, and just replaced it with that one scene. And then next thing I know, all of the cast is having those same meetings, and basically they're just culling stories. Because the format, the way it is, it's really handy because you can tell these sweet little stories or funny little anecdotes. And that's enough. Because you only got 4 or 5 minutes. It's like a short video. It's like when people say, "Oh yeah, you can watch 5-minute videos on YouTube." It's like that. I mean, it's the same amount, and then we piece them together, and then it tells a greater story. So now we have this whole thing where I just want to put like a confessions box, and everyone's just got to put in embarrassing stories, embarrassing family stories. And I think it's much better if you don't reveal who it is, because I don't want any more of my stories coming out.
Right.
My wife said specifically, you can't tell any more stories. We don't want all of our dirty laundry.
Well, you can if
out.
it's anonymous.
But I can if it's anonymous.
That is brilliant.
Exactly.
Also in the first teaser, I'll say, which I thought was a little bit of a spoiler, but maybe not, doing the whole storyline for your father's 70th birthday, and what he wanted for his birthday was his own funeral.
Mm-hmm.
The way it was set up was like you guys were at the funeral, all your father was here and everything, and I figured they would just leave it there. So you're like, oh, James Brolin's only in 1-2 episodes? That sucks. I love that guy. And then all of a sudden he walks out like, he's like, are we supposed to applaud? Like he's Carson coming out from the the curtain there.
Yeah.
But, the storyline alone, very funny, great concept. I just thought maybe they were putting out a little too much.
No, when you're in the business of television, you want to make your first episode or your pilot episode as great as it can be. And it's important at all stages, because when you send out that script, you want people to like it. You want them to buy it. You want someone to put up money to make it. You want actors to like it, to sign on, and all that sort of stuff. And so it's really important that first episode really grab your attention and do something interesting. And that was just one of the many instances in which I thought they were doing something really different and really unique. And that got me interested in doing the show. And I feel like when that happens at that stage, when I'm reading it, hopefully that can translate once we populate it and act it out and do that. And it was really just sort of a funny little thing, at that stage, and you don't know that they're all family members.
Right.
But then all of a sudden all these people are, there they are. They're all in the same scene together. And it's just a great little sort of situational comedy to be in. Like, what if you had your 70th birthday and you pretended it was your funeral? And apparently someone that Justin, the writer, was someone that he knows, apparently did that.
I like how James is sitting off to the side in the chair like it's a roast.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
And the guy's saying, he's like, don't look at me, but I'm addressing you and next, get the next guy. He sucks. I'm like, this is a roast.
Yeah, no, exactly. The whole concept behind it is, wouldn't it be nice to be able to hear all of the things that all the nice things that someone would say to you at a funeral? But if you're at the funeral, it's kind of hard to say things.
Right.
People are just going to end up roasting you. And
right.
That's kind of what happens.
It's so weird that people have that obsession. I think everyone has at one point thought, if I die, I'd like to just be able to, before I transcend to wherever, just be at my funeral before I go, just to see what everyone says about me.
I just hope it's a big party and they go, awesome. Thanks, buddy.
I just hope they don't sell my stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It took me years to collect all of that. Are you a collector of anything?
Yeah, vinyl.
Vinyl?
Yeah, records. Yeah, I'm actually very big on that.
Well, that's telling, considering the documentary you made.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. I mean, it was one of the things that I when I shoot on location, I bring a portable turntable with me. So it forces me to go out to all the different record stores wherever I am, and then I label the records. I label each record with the city I bought it in, so my collection is from all the different places that I've been.
You collect more as storytelling of your life journey rather than just for, like, some people just think anything vinyl is God, they buy that. Or some people think that, I love my music, but it needs to be on vinyl. You're doing all of that plus telling yourself where you've been.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I sort of realized, and I sort of knew this even before we started doing the All Things Must Pass, the Tower Records documentary, I always, when I would buy a record that meant a lot to me, and I call everything records, album, CD, whatever.
Right.
But when I would buy a record that was important to me, I would somehow remember where I bought that. Oh, I bought that one at the Tower Records on 16th and Broadway, or I bought that at the Beat, or I bought that at Freak Beat, or any number of these places. And the older I got, I realized that one of the things that I would do when I'd get into a new town that I didn't know is I'd go to different record stores. And once I started collecting vinyl, and I was very late on the vinyl thing. I didn't really start until around 2005, 2006.
Which is, way past.
Way past. Yeah. I just sort of realized that, as I was going to get older, I was probably going to forget these things. And so how about I just label them, and it's just a cool little thing to do.
Why did that mean something to you, though? To know where you bought it and what city it was in?
I don't know. I just remember these things, and it ended up being just like a weird OCD thing. I'm not sure. But now that it's a part of it, I don't know. There's always, I feel that there is something, obviously there's something very tactile about, buying records or buying CDs, whatever. And, there is also something about truly having a collection to be able to pass on. And I don't know. It's just a cool, weird thing that, when I give my kids my records, they'll throw half of them out.
Right.
But at least they'll have this cool thing where they go, oh, well, Dad bought this one in Iowa. Okay.
I'm kind of waiting on my dad. My dad has a very extensive record collection. Vinyl.
Word this carefully. You're waiting for
when my dad wants to actually give it up.
There you go.
Okay. Vinyl. He even has some old records from his dad. I think they were 78s or something like that. The small ones. He has a bunch of them, and they're all in the old boxes with the paper sleeves, and and for the most part, and fairly good condition,
That's
considering
right.
people didn't know how to collect stuff way back when. And he was also one of the guys that had all these really expensive baseball cards, and his mom did throw them out. Because there's old black and white photos where he's on the floor
going through
sorting through them, and then he came home from school one day, and his mom just threw everything out. But he has all this vinyl here. He used to work in the music industry, so he had a lot of stuff that had these special seals pressed on them that were just for radio stations, just for advanced screenings to promoters and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff where I'm thinking of it more now as art, like, because I get the frames and I'll hang it up on the wall and look at it, rather than, I know people love vinyl, love to play vinyl, but I wasn't one of those guys. But I've been surrounded because of my dad. So I have some kind of appreciation for it. I think more of a art than actual audio format.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where it's just it's a niche thing. Obviously now, I always say that being a music fan now is not bad. It's actually one of the best times to be a music fan. You will never hear the word like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's out of print."
Right.
You're not going to be able to find that record.
It's a great time to be a music fan, not a good time to be a collector.
Yeah, exactly.
You really have to seek things out and do your homework.
You got to want it. And the way I always sort of look at it, it's like punk rock, man. Like, you got to find that stuff that you're passionate about. No one's just going to give it to you, or just, not everyone's going to be talking about the one thing that you like. So you got to find your passion and go for it.
The film that we're talking about is All Things Must Pass. It comes out on October 16th. You directed it. It got a lot of great buzz at South by Southwest, which is the perfect place to debut to show everybody, check this out about the music industry, and everyone went nuts for this.
Yeah.
Thing. A lot of buzz on the thing. You got a lot of great artists in there. You had Elton John, Chris Cornell, Chuck D.
Unfortunately, we interviewed Chuck D. We interviewed Chris Cornell, but unfortunately, we found out that we had a lot of story to tell in a very short amount of time. So they actually didn't make it, which is weird to say. But yeah, we got Elton John, Dave Grohl is in it, Bruce Springsteen.
Saw Springsteen in it.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl's story is the perfect thing that sets the tone, because his line was that, "I used to work at Tower Records because it's the only place I could get a job with the hair that I had."
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to change, and they said, you fit the look of what we want to push.
Yeah.
But to have somebody that iconic in the rock industry come in and say, "I used to work there, I want to do this film," and talk about it. And he brings up a great point. He doesn't understand why it's not around anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we know Napster and things like that really took a big chunk out of the music industry and actual physical copies.
Yeah.
Younger kids today don't want that. But I think if you still had a store and it was done the right way, people like being social in that kind of concept. Some people don't like going to Target and Walmart, but they'll go to a proper
music
record store, a bookstore.
Yeah.
I always talk about pining for the days of the video store.
Yeah.
Like, I always love the hunt of going in. Will it be there? Do they have the new game? Oh, they only have 2 copies. They're both out. Put me on the list. Call me when it's coming in. Just like the music stores do. You're all out of this? Yeah, we only got 6 copies. Take my phone number. Call me when it's coming in. I'll run down and buy it.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
No, there is definitely something about in this day and age. There is this, I want this thing and I need to get it right now. This sort of impatient.
Right.
Or even I want this one thing and I need it 5 seconds ago. That kind of thing. And, with Tower was a really interesting place to shop and a really, really amazing place to work. And there was just so much about this company that I found to be just really fascinating once you sat down and really examined it, and the fact that, Dave Grohl used to work at Tower because it was the only place that he could work when they didn't have a dress code. He could look whatever he wanted. That one little fact I found to be really interesting, because when you think about it, what if Dave Grohl had to go get a job somewhere where they forced him to wear a suit and tie and they forced him to cut his hair? Now, Dave Grohl's probably not going to go do that. But that would have definitely changed the way Dave Grohl, it would have changed his life. Yeah. And so there are all of these little things that Tower did that made the company so special, that made the company unique. And by the way, this is a company that started out in 1941 in a drugstore in Sacramento. I mean, no one knows that really.
They don't think of the big ones like in L.A. or New York.
Yeah, exactly. And so there were all of these little things that Tower did that was special. There's all these historical things that I found really fascinating. There's an incredible group of people that worked there for 20, 30, 40 years. That
and artists used to just show up.
Yeah.
It wasn't an event like, come down and see such and such. He's going to sign his new album.
It was a place
they got into town and they would just go there to see what else was out there other than their stuff.
It was a place for everybody to hang out.
Right.
Whether you were a musician, a movie star, or if you were just someone that was just looking to kill some time. You know what I mean? And, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to, help celebrate that and tell people why Tower was so special and why it was so unique, but also pop that bubble and give people a better understanding of the fact that it really wasn't Napster and the internet that killed Tower. There were a lot of different things.
Right.
That contributed to it over a long course of time. And I think when you're actually really able to sit down and explain that to people, it's inherently interesting. And it's really interesting once you've gotten to know the people, that worked for the company and you are able to see what really happened. And, hopefully the people that watch the movie, they sort of get to know these characters and they get to like them and root for them. And then when they see, what happened at the end, hopefully they feel bad for them, feel something.
I'm running out of time with you. Two quick things before you go.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked about collecting stuff is I'm a big collector of a bunch of different things. To the point where a couple years ago, I'm like, all right, I need to focus on one, maybe two things because there's too much stuff. I have to get it all out of my house. The reason why I was asking about that is about a year or so ago, your father did an episode of The Nerdist with Chris Hardwick.
Yes.
And the way they got him on the show was that your dad collected old typewriters.
Yes.
And they found this really antique typewriter that they sent him, and your father wrote this nice letter back to him and agreed to come on. And I just thought that was amazing that, no matter what you think of people in Hollywood and famous actors and, your father being this iconic figure, that he has these really adorable human qualities. It's like he collects typewriters.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you collect typewriters?
Yeah.
He's fascinated.
Yeah.
Were they around your house growing up and stuff? Like, is there a lot of them?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a lot. He keeps them all at his office now.
Oh, okay.
But, no, I think there's, oh man. I mean, I think there's about 300 in his collection.
Wow.
It's reached a trouble stage. For sure. But it's great. Yeah, no, there's something, again, I don't know. We're sort of fascinated with old technology, I guess, with me and records and him with typewriters. We just sort of, we're old school like that.
Well, you're saving your vinyl, like you said, to pass along to, to your family.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the typewriters?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I started, I bought a few on my own and then I realized, no, it's much better to just go ask him, like, hey, can I borrow one every now and again? And I just sort of swap them out I got like a library card, with the typewriters. Yeah, I'm not sure.
You put down a deposit in case it's damaged.
Yeah, but you know what I did do? I have sort of cross-pollinated the two because now I used to write out on the little labels that I put on my records. I used to write it out in my handwriting. But then I went to an Uber level and I started typing them out on typewriters. So all of my labels are typewritten on typewriters. So it's sort of this weird cross-pollination. I'm sure my kids are going to collect rotary phones or something like that.
Finally, hockey season.
Yes.
2 weeks away. I know you're a big LA Kings fan.
Yes, I am.
How do you think you guys are going to
do? We're going to do better than we did last year. That much I know for sure.
Going for the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Hey, listen, what an awesome rivalry it is. It's truly, it is a great time to be a hockey fan and an even better time to be an LA Kings fan.
Well, good luck with that. Hopefully it works out for you. Life in Pieces, which is the TV show on CBS, premieres the 21st of September, and then it's Monday nights, 8:30 p.m. on CBS. And then on October 16th, All Things Must Pass, the Tower Records documentary directed by Colin Hanks here. Thank you so much for your time, man. When you come back, I'd love to talk more about your collections and everything else that you got going on here.
Anything you want to talk about, man.
I would love it. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
We're back. Call Eric and Matt now. 866-969-1969. It's Erik Nagel.
Welcome back to It's Erik Nagel, ladies and gentlemen. That is myself, Erik Nagel. 866-969-1969 if you want to be part of the program, talk about whatever we're doing. We still have copies of Furious 7, the extended edition, Blu-ray and digital, to give away to you fine folks.
Can I call in and win it?
I see you dialing already, and I'm going to hang up because I recognize your phone number.
Damn it.
In case you're just tuning into the program. We're on at 6 p.m. now on the East Coast, 3 p.m. on the West Coast. We moved up an hour. Following us at 9 p.m. is Sam Roberts' show, who does it Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock. And so we're his lead-in for today. So when you're tuning in at 9, you may hear us, you may hear Sam. Who knows? It's a whole thing.
Sure.
But Sam's on at 9 o'clock, so check that out. And we're here from 6 to 9. Make a note of it.
Fantastic.
Notes have been made.
Thanks to Ken Cage and his buddy there for the beer. Everyone's still hanging out, drinking this stuff, and having a good time. Like, I wish they brought more of this stuff.
Dude, this is really good beer. Like, I gotta say, like, this is the first time someone's come in where every single beer they brought was delicious.
I went back for more on the Imperial Pumpkin, not going to lie.
I know, I'm drinking more of this Delco right now.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
So thanks to Ken and Stiggs for that. It's 2spbrewing.com. Also 2SP Brewing on Twitter if you want to follow that and check everything out that they got. And thanks to Colin Hanks. We just spoke to him a little bit ago. Check out the show Life in Pieces on CBS. Also his documentary, All Things Must Pass. It's the rise and fall of Tower Records.
Indeed.
It's definitely worth it. It comes out October 16th. So look for that. And the CBS show, I think, starts next Monday.
Very nice.
But also important, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. on BBC America and Space Network up in Canada is the premiere of Season 9 for Doctor Who.
I'm excited.
A little bit later in the program, we're going to not do that. We're going to speak to the cast and the showrunner for Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi, Jenna Coleman, Michelle Gomez, and Stephen Moffat. We got a chance to talk to them out in San Diego Comic-Con, and a lot of the interviews are still relevant leading up right to the beginning of Season 9 here.
Of course, yeah, man.
So we'll feature those in just a little bit. Matt OG is here. Gittles is here.
What up?
Matt didn't make it to the show, the concert that we went to last week. Gittles and I went to go check out our friends Epic Lloyd and Nice Peter from the Epic Rap Battles of History. If you're familiar with them, if not, you should check it out. They're the largest channel on YouTube as far as a web series program goes. And they were doing a live concert here in New York City. They're doing a live tour around the United States, and it's even going worldwide.
Yeah, it's going international, which is kind of crazy.
It's huge. For this small stage show, it really, not that expensive for what they were doing, but the way they're pulling it off is pretty cool, that they're doing costume changes in between each battle. They're getting the people on stage involved. And, they'd have special contributors to their videos that aren't on tour with them. So they'd bring audience people and like, do you know the lines to this part? Yes. All right. You're going to be that part in the battle.
Oh, that's nice.
And they sync it all up. And
not only that, they'd be like, you better know all the lines in this battle because there's someone else in the audience who knows these words and they're going to be very angry if you do not know all these words.
People were, and how many people were in that room?
There was probably about a good...
It's down at Webster Hall.
There was probably about a good 200 people there, but it was the most rabid...
I think it was a little bit more than that.
Probably, maybe even more than that, but it was the most rabid fan base I've seen since, like, when Walking Dead is here and there's people waiting outside for Norman Reedus. Like,
Did
people
they have
were...
to shame anyone?
No, they didn't, because every single person who got on stage knew every word, and not only
and they
that...
were killing it.
And they were killing it. They weren't just, like, sitting there on stage. Like, they were getting in the crowd's face and just, like, rapping. It was insane.
Acting out the videos, and there's people around the front area of the stage there that had the videos that they were running on their phone while they were performing them on stage. So they're looking at here, and I'm like, what is going on?
It was such a surreal / bizarre environment. Like, I saw more Star Wars shirts there than I did at Comic-Con.
And it was crazy. You can't peg their audience either, because you're thinking YouTube, okay, it's got to be younger people.
No, there was parents, there was young kids there. It was a really weird crowd.
In the 30s there, for Gittles and I, we were the odd ducks out, because there were either younger kids there, late teens into early 20s, or people like 50 years old. Like, there was a lot of older people there.
It's a true testament to modern technology and the reaches that it can get made.
Well, that was the first thing I thought. I was just sitting there thinking, like, wow, this video, like, adults are watching this. Like, they're entertained by these rap battles that are just joking about historical figures, and I think that's fantastic.
I like to think that the adults are actually familiar with the historical figures that they're talking about, and the kids are just entertained by the funny words and the rapping.
Like a Pixar movie, like, there's, like, the jokes that go to the parents' head, and then all the kids are like, oh, well, he said fuck Einstein, so it's funny.
It's funny, yeah.
There was an older couple, I'd say late 40s, early 50s in age.
Right.
And the guy kept yelling out, "Dude, Jack the Ripper versus Hannibal Lecter." And I'm turning around, I'm like, what are you doing? and then when he did it, he's doing the woo and the devil signs. He's got a beer in his hand. It's like going to the concert with your dad.
Well,
That's awesome.
Well, the best part was Eric kept looking at me. He's like, "Are you having a good time?" I was like, "I don't know what this is. This is just a very weird experience for me, and I'm enjoying every minute of it, even though I don't know these raps."
You have to just take it in.
Yeah, it was just an experience. It was just something you had to be at.
Damn,
it was
I wish
fun.
I
it was a lot of fun. I liked that they were like really humble too, and they got on stage and they were like, "Dude, listen, like we did not know that this would have gotten to this level in 4 years."
Yeah, at one point Lloyd was really he's bringing out his family, and he goes, "My family's over here. Hey guys," and then everybody's applauding for his family and stuff, and he says, "Let me just tell you something." And he's like, "They can testify." And he goes, "You don't know the shit I was in 4 years ago."
Yeah, like it was really nice because they were very down to earth, and that was really I don't know. It was a nice.
Yeah, they brought
touch.
everybody in. Like everybody got a chance to be a rock star on the stage. It's like, we need a girl for this part, we need a guy for this part. Do you want to come up? Do you know? Yeah, that was the thing. They were really getting intense. Like, you better know this thing because everyone else here does, and they're killing for this opportunity. And they killed it.
What was great was you were posting pictures and like doing hashtag like rap battles, and then I saw people who were on stage who were rapping at it, who were favoriting the tweets and retweeting it because they just were searching the hashtag. You know,
this
ERB.
internet.
It's crazy.
So thanks to all the guys at Epic Rap Battles of History. We had a great time. Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd. Follow them on Twitter. I think it's ERB of History.
Yeah.
And of course, epicrapbattlesofhistory.com for all their stuff. They just finished season 4, and season 5 I think starts January, something like that. They do the split season like AMC does,
Sure.
and with Walking Dead and Mad Men.
I still cannot get over the fact that YouTube has seasons. Like, that's just so weird to me.
Well, they're credited as the ones who came up with it.
Yeah,
like
it makes
Felicia Day
sense.
had the first successful web series, in general for what YouTube was doing, and then they came up with seasons.
Yeah.
And splitting everything off, and now everybody does seasons.
Well, it's so much smarter, too, because that way you can plan and be like, hey, listen, we're in the off-season, so you don't have to worry about making a video and making people happy because they know another season's eventually
But then
coming.
you read the comments, and they're yelling at you saying, "Your off-season's 8 months, come on." It's like, there's a lot of work that goes into this.
But that happens with everything. That happens with Walking Dead. That happens with Doctor Who. That happens with every show.
I think, as in general, though, I think people appreciate the off season. Like, they appreciate the ability to remove themselves from that particular item for a select amount of time to look at other items. And the Guild, which is what you're talking about with Felicia Day, that had, I think, 6 seasons before it ran its route. I mean, those seasons were pretty epic. And when they released those, the fan base was huge, but it had this whole community outside of the season. So they were like spin-off shows that were about the Guild created by fans, and then there were like chat rooms and because message boards were still like kind of cool when season 1 of the Guild came out. But I mean, I think that's great that YouTube is at that point, and YouTube is responsible now for creating original content, and they're kind of getting on board that. And look, YouTube is still free. Yeah. Right? YouTube hasn't reached a point where they're charging you, at least I don't think, right? There's no YouTube Pro or Prime or
no,
right?
There are things
ads.
No, there are things you can pay for on YouTube where you can get movies and things like that on YouTube.
Yeah,
you pay the service.
It's through like Amazon or iTunes, but it says it like when you go on the video.
And then it tells you, it's like you this is available for 48 hours or something like that. Yeah.
But
they
it's
have
none
that.
of the original content, it's licensed content. As far as original content, other than the fact that there's ads, right? You're not paying for any of the original content that YouTube is providing, correct?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, that's great that they still have that model that works that well, and that there's still such a loyal fan base. And even still, successful shows, Epic Rap Battles, The Guild, etc., people are willing to sit through the 30-second ad, which is a testament to the quality of the show and the loyalty of the fan base.
Well, let me just say this. I've had a Chromebook for 2 years, and like a week and a half ago, Google Chrome removed some sort of ad block thing. I had no idea that there were so many ads on YouTube until the last week and a half, and now I have to wait a minute every time I want to watch a video. I'm so angry. I'm so pissed off at YouTube.
Oh, you millennials.
Ugh.
That minute is a bathroom break. It's a get yourself some pretzels break. It's part of the beer break.
It's horrible. Like, I had no idea that there was commercials. And I was going to like go on a channel and be like, hey, you must be doing pretty good. There's commercials now. Nope, it's just my browser.
Can I give you a little tip?
Yes.
When it comes to those ads, if it doesn't have the skip feature, if you let it play for about 5 seconds, if you hit the refresh thing about 3 times, It starts without the ad.
Ooh, thanks, Eric.
So there you go.
Eric's hacking
Now
my
that I
life
said
right
that, it's going to be gone by next week.
Yeah, that's
Way
it.
to go,
YouTube has now figured it out. That's the back door, and it's done. You've ruined it for everyone.
I've ruined the back door for everybody. I apologize.
Well,
Well, you said it, Eric.
Let's go to John in Philly. John, how are you, sir?
I'm great.
Thank you for joining
I'm
us.
Really happy. At long last, Marvel finally put Agent Carter on Blu-ray.
did that come out on Blu-ray this week?
It came out today.
Oh, fantastic.
On
That's
a
good
Friday?
news.
I don't know what the delay was.
Why did it come out on a Friday?
I have no idea. Well, Amazon shipped it in to me today. They
So
also
it probably
shipped
means
me,
it was out on
what's his
Tuesday.
name? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. today also.
Interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Is Carter on Netflix?
Yeah, usually it's a Tuesday thing.
Yeah, usually it's a Tuesday thing. That's when, is Carter on Netflix? I would assume so.
Because I've been watching S.H.I.E.L.D. on Netflix. I don't know if Carter's on Netflix.
Well, I would assume it's all part of the same, program, network, etc. The
That whole
deal
universe.
it must extend, I would think.
Well, because they just put out, the trailer for Jessica Jones this week or whatever it is?
The trailer for Jessica Jones just dropped earlier this week, and we got a lot of Luke Cage news this week because it's filming now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that whole universe is continuing to blow up.
You know where Paul's been?
Hanging out on the set of one of those Netflix shows, right?
Which show?
Paul?
Daredevil.
Oh, you've been hanging out at the turkey's nest. No, you don't know?
No, he doesn't know anything about the show.
Oh.
He's like, I think they're shooting Daredevil here. Why? Because the guy looks like Daredevil. It's like,
There's a blind guy fighting. Oh, okay, well.
Let me say that I was walking through Chinatown earlier, and they were filming something, and I took a picture of the sign, and it just said The Matrix on it. So I don't know if there's a Matrix TV show coming out now, but if they did, I walked through the set.
Nice.
They're going to have to sign a release, and now you're going to be a big star in Japan.
I hope so.
So, all right, well, good, sir. I wasn't aware, but Agent Carter's out on DVD, Bluray. Go out and get it if you're a
Agent
Marvel
Carter
fan
was
or if you're
great.
curious. I love Agent
Season
Carter.
1 was fantastic.
I know a lot of people were shitting on it.
Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just found out I'm taking a trip to Hawaii in another month, like right after Thanksgiving. I was wondering if there was
That's
any
2
chance
months,
that I
sir.
could win Opie's Lost box set to bone up before I go and get to see the stuff in person.
I think that's a good request.
I think that's a fair request.
I think it's a very fair request because Lost was filmed there.
Right. Well, here's the thing: we weren't giving that away tonight. So
if you can guess what number
now I'm
it
in a
was.
conundrum here.
I think do you still have it?
I have it. It's still sealed. It's not going anywhere. All right, you know what? We're not doing it tonight, but I'm going to give it to you, John. Paul will take your information, and we'll give you the Lost box set. I forget what he has a couple seasons. I'll pick the first one for you if it's in there. It's probably one of the gifts I gave him for Christmas many years ago.
That's why you don't want to give it out again. You're
Right,
re-gifting your own gift.
Right. So I'll do that. I'll have Opie sign it for you, and I'll mail it out. All right.
Smooth move, John. Good on you.
Yeah,
All right.
nice.
We're not doing that for anybody else here. Just putting that out. We have Furious 7 to give away if anyone's interested.
I'm interested.
Gittles brought a guest to the show today.
I did.
Gittles, for the longest time, whenever we do the plugs at the end of the show, we usually plug our social media, the guests that are coming. Matt has the other show that he does that he promotes for that, and different events, cons, things that we go to. When we get down the line to Gittles, it always means he's like, I'll be doing some kind of takedown
I've
this
got an
weekend.
Ewok takedown this weekend. We're going to be deep frying some.
I bet deep fried Ewok would taste delicious.
I'd be down.
Because they eat people, so
there you go.
I don't know. I'm
Dip
just
it in
saying.
a nice plum, ginger soy sauce,
Ooh,
something like that.
Chewbacca sauce.
Right.
Yum.
So he always does these takedowns, and some people have asked, is this a bit because he has nothing to plug? I'm like, no, he really goes to these takedowns here, and you brought your buddy who actually runs these takedowns.
Yeah, I had to bring in my friend Matt just to prove that I was not making all of this up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hi, Matt.
Yeah.
How are you?
Super, super duper cool. Thanks. This is very cool.
The takedowns, plural, one word, .com, and the takedowns also on Twitter if you want to follow along and see what we're talking about here. Explain to everybody what these takedowns are.
Well, I've been doing it for 15 years out in Brooklyn and Williamsburg, and then I sort of took it national, but it's this huge amateur cooking competition, and Gittles joined a couple years ago, and ever since he's been winning like crazy.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like Gittles can't be winning every one of these things.
He wins most of them.
He sends me photos. He's like, "Look at all this Cuisinart stuff that I have." I'm like, "What are you doing with it?" He's like, "I got 4 blenders. I don't know."
He's a culinary giant, at least on the underground cooking scene in Brooklyn. And I don't know. I'm going everywhere. I'm also going to Minneapolis. I'm going to Chicago, L.A., San Francisco. But it's always different themed amateur cook-offs like mac and cheese and bacon. And
he did a meatball one not too long ago,
right?
A
meatball takedown.
And you won
the
the
homebrew takedown was insane.
The homebrew one was
20
awesome.
different homebrews. It was bonkers.
So how do you get one of these things together? Because it's not like a network back thing or a corporation back thing. So is this just something you put together on your own?
I mean, the whole plan was I was supposed to be like this actor, and I turned into a starving actor, and then I had nothing else going on.
So you had the takedowns to feed you?
Not even. It was just this thing to entertain me.
I could scam tons of people to make my dinner.
When people decided to start coming out in droves, I was like, I could charge these people, and I did, and it actually, that's when it took off. It's like, people only take things seriously when you're like
charging money
for it. Yeah.
So where do the prizes come into play? Are they donated, or is this coming out of your pocket, or what?
No. I mean, I've gotten Cuisinart and Wusthof knives, and they're all jumping on as sponsors. Microplane graters and all these Analon pots. These are like the prizes. You get these huge armloads of prizes, and
you have Hampton Bays.
If you win, Hampton Bays. What's Hampton Bays?
Isn't it Hampton Bays?
I don't know. I think those are candle people.
No. They make like the margarita machines and blenders and
like
stuff.
a Margaritaville.
Because I can attest to the fact that they're good. Because Matt and I have a mutual friend that for his wedding gift, I have a ridiculous amount of points at Dave and Buster's.
Yeah.
And we went into the store and I said, I'm telling you, I can buy everything almost everything in this
in the gift shop from Dave and Buster's.
So he goes, okay, great. This is my wedding gift or whatever it was, engagement, whatever. And he went over and got the Hampton Bays drink mixer thing. And it was some ridiculous amount of points that was way more than what that thing was worth.
Like 90,000 tokens.
Something like that. So I'm
Do you not live in New York? Why would you have that in your apartment?
So, he's in Jersey. And he's like, I want this. So, okay, swiped it up, and I go, that counts as your gift. I'm done. I'm clear. And that's what it was.
Eric is mugging kids at Dave and Buster's for their
He's like holding them by their ankles and just shaking the tickets out of their pockets. That's awesome.
Well, y'all should come to this thing. I'm going to do
We want to. It's just, it's a little, I mean, my schedule is a little difficult, but I keep meaning, he did a taco takedown not too long ago that I wanted to come out to.
Well, this Sunday it's the lobster takedown, and I got Luke's Lobster donating 10 pounds of lobster to each contestant, and I got 15 contestants, and everyone's going to come and make a different lobster item. Yeah,
that sounds great.
It's going to be so good. Great.
We keep talking about taking the show on the road. We should
great idea.
Do something from one of these events.
Why not?
Idea.
We'll make a big weekend out of it.
That's what I'm screaming.
You have our show now,
Lisa.
and then tomorrow is Cousin Brucey live at San Gennaro.
There you go.
And then Sunday we'll be live at the Lobster Takedown.
Well,
that's what I'm screaming.
And if you can't make that, you could make the food on a stick takedown, which is coming up, or the chili takedown, or the cookie takedown. Or the chocolate takedown.
I'm thinking we should take the show on the road and do something with one of these events, Eric.
Look, I'm trying to fight sugar. This isn't helping.
So the chocolate, everyone's going to get like 10 pounds of raw chocolate, and they can make sweet and savory. You can make anything with chocolate. Mole sauce.
I was going to say
Can you throw them at the loser if you want to?
What's that?
Can you throw it at the losers if you want to?
Yeah, you can throw it.
Nice.
You cannot eat it.
This is my kind of takedown.
No, don't throw it.
Well, the best part about the takedowns is it really is an anything goes takedown. It's like if you call this, then that's what we call it. And that's what the best part
so
about it is.
So what are the rules for a takedown? How many people can compete?
No, that's the beauty. First of all, it's home cooks.
Anything goes.
And it's anything goes.
But
no
you can't
rules.
have 900 people trying to do meatballs.
It's crazy.
But
it's
you can
madness.
have tofu meatballs against pork meatballs, against carrot meatballs, against beefy meatballs. I mean, the point is that I'm not laying down any strictures. I think that would be a bad idea. Plus, it's all home cooks. That's the best part. Because they put all this love into it and all this serious energy into it. When you get a chef, I don't know if you have chefs on your show ever, but they can be some of the most entitled people on earth and really pushy and hard to work with. But home cooks,
I'm glad we didn't do Roland Food Court today. I'm so glad.
What, would he be mad?
There would have been a lot of chefs here.
Oh, good. Well, then I'm not here for that. But honestly, it's tough to work with that crowd.
But you started with the takedowns in your apartment, right? Like as a chili competition in your
15 years
apartment.
ago in my apartment.
So
And it
where
was
do you
just
have these things now?
Well, now, I mean, I'm around the country, just in big ass venues that are like have a big stage and tons of room so people can congregate and party and drink a lot. And in Brooklyn, I do it at Royal Palms. It's this huge shuffleboard club where there's like about 10 like shuffleboard courts, and it's a massive space. It's like this epic, huge space where you can party and play shuffleboard and drink and
yacht rock, because Gittles always tries to sell us on yacht rock.
There was a yacht rock band at the Taco Takedown.
Well, the good news is I cut off the yacht rock during my event, and it's pure death metal the entire time for 2 hours. So it's 2 hours of good music and really good food.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do one live on the show.
That's what I'm screaming.
But the thing
I
is,
think
they don't
you
let us
should.
do open flame. Like, you can't have a burner or something here.
Well, you don't have really
you
burners
come
here.
to the show.
Everyone cooks the food at home and they bring it in.
Yeah, but don't they have something set up that to keep it, like if it's a chili thing,
Like
to
a
keep
sterno
it,
thing?
something that, that's lighting, it's sitting there so that you can come around and taste it as it's meant to.
Well, what about the cookie takedown? You don't need sterno for that. You can eat a bunch of cookies.
See?
Well, not you. You don't want to eat sweets.
All right, so we can do a lesser scale takedown.
Yeah, lesser scale.
Let's see if we can get some prizes from the company.
I'm all
for
about
that.
it. I'm all about it.
This is a great idea.
This is a great
Doesn't
idea.
have to be cookies either. It could be brownie
We are
takedown.
stealing this idea.
I want to be here. I want to be here for your stealing.
You can be outside.
You'll have to be brownie
Knocking at
takedown.
the
I like
window.
that.
What?
Brownie takedown. I like that.
Yeah, brownie
yeah.
takedown would be great.
That's super smart.
I want a
Salsa
pickle takedown.
Hummus takedown.
What if we
Ooh,
do
hummus
an
takedown.
alcohol-infused dessert takedown?
Oh, that's very niche, but I like it.
Yeah. I just did that homebrew takedown. I'm telling you, it was bonkers. We could do a cocktail takedown. What about having a bunch of little cocktails?
That homebrew takedown, let me say something, was crazy. I volunteered to help. They were giving out full glasses of beer, and there was 20 contestants. It was
Jeez.
crazy.
That's insanity.
Well, the lobster takedown is this Sunday. TheTakedowns.com is the website to check it out. The Takedowns, plural, all one word, for Twitter. You can follow Matt and everything that's going on here and probably see another takedown that Gittles has won, or at least come in second. I see a lot of photos that he sends me where he's just holding all this stuff. He's like, I had to walk home like this.
My roommates are like, how many more frying pans do we need? I'm like, well, you never know when burglars might break in and we need a 1920s, like, funny, like,
Maybe
montage.
we need some old-fashioned snowshoes.
I'm going to start shopping at Gittles & Co.
Right.
Come by. I got tons of food.
Anything else we need to point out on this?
No, it's this Sunday at the Royal Palm Shuffleboard Club. If you don't have tickets, then...
then you're out of luck.
You're out of
'Cause
luck.
It's totally sold out. But that's why you should get on the mailing list, because the food on a stick takedown is going to be crazy, and that's next month.
Okay.
And that's open to all home cooks, right?
Yeah, totally. As long as you're a home cook and not some dick, you should have it. Yeah.
We're all about the food here, brother.
Absolutely.
No need to throw your political ideals at us. It's just brownies. All right, so thetakedowns.com and the Takedowns on Twitter. Follow that. Check out the site. I think we can work something out here. Maybe going into the holiday seasons, we'll figure out and do an actual takedown here. Maybe we can get the fishbowl and do it as a big event.
Oh, that'd be cool. Fun.
All right, so I know Justin Stangel's listening, so write that down, Justin. We're going to get that done. We got to take another break. When we come back, we're going to play the interviews with the cast of Doctor Who for season 9. You're going to want to hear that. We'll be right back. It's the big Doctor Who event here at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm here with Michelle Gomez, and she just told me how SiriusXM saved her life. How is that?
I am a transplant living in Brooklyn, in New York, and I've always been a fan of radio, and I've struggled to find my radio station and find my music, and it's difficult to listen to radio in America, and difficult to watch television in America because there's just so many commercials. So when I fell upon SiriusXM, I can now, just have my music streamed without having to listen to somebody else's opinions, and I love it.
What are some of your favorite channels?
I'm kind of stick to more of the kind of like soul and groove, and a little bit of like nostalgia as well with some jazz, and yeah, it's kind
Well, we do have all of that. Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Michelle Gomez, for those who don't know, was introduced to the Doctor Who world in season 8 as Missy, but then it was revealed, it's no spoiler to anybody because that season's over, that you're the Master.
I am the Master, that's right, regardless of my gender, and it's a lot of fun being the most evil woman of the universe.
What does it feel like when for years, everybody's been like, oh, the Doctor should change into a female. And they kind of answered it by having a Time Lord change into a female, but it wasn't the one they were expecting.
Yeah, they're very clever, these guys. That Mr. Stephen Moffat is just a dastardly dog. He's a very clever man, and you're never going to get what you expect. And, the more you ask for something in Doctor Who, the more he'll run in the opposite direction. It's a surprise to everybody. It was a surprise to me and a delight, and that's still the door is still open, for perhaps maybe one day there being a female Doctor, but at the moment we have a magnificent Doctor in Peter Capaldi, and I'm enjoying ticking the female box for the Master.
Well, at the end of the last season, we saw you get vaporized, but now you're back for this season, and I guess the question is, you're wearing a bracelet, and it looks sort of like the one that Captain Jax would wear for time travel. Is this the same bracelet? Did you get this somehow?
I can't talk about those specifics because I'm first and foremost a fan, and I want to just protect the level of anticipation for these questions. And there is a way that I came back. Yes.
Is it? Well, I guess I'm not going to get an answer to this either. But is it possible that you're not really the Master, even though you said so? You're impersonating.
I'm the Master.
Okay. So that is definite.
Absolutely.
Another question I had was in season 8. I don't know if it was just a matter of production as far as reusing scenery, but there is a particular scene where you're sitting in a chair looking over a courtyard, and I'll show it to you right here. And it also was used in an episode with Amy Pond. Is there a tie into that, or is it just a coincidence?
Oh, there's no coincidence. In Doctor Who, everything's connected. That's what makes it really spooky in a way. Yes, there's connection yet to be revealed.
All right, last question, and I see you have to go here. So season 9, you're coming back in a big, big way here. What can we expect more from the Master?
The Master's actually come back. Missy's come back in a different dynamic. That's all I can say. There's something a little different about her this season. What I can say about the series is that there's a sort of grand electricity to it. It feels very charged. It's almost like that kind of energy you get in LA with the sort of tectonic plates going on. There's something definitely in the air. It's very adventurous.
Could it be like a Clara Sing where there's different versions of you all throughout time?
I don't know. You're going to have to see.
Missy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Joined now by the man who's made Doctor Who what it is today, Mr. Stephen Moffat. I almost called you Dr. Stephen Moffat.
Yeah. Technically I am. I have an honorary doctorate, so you would have been correct.
Okay. Season 9 is coming back in the fall.
That's correct, yes.
Very exciting, a lot of good stuff, and going in every season seems to have a different direction as far as the Doctor always rediscovering himself, or actually, as progress has been going on, trying to enjoy his life more. And that seems to be some of the synopsis for season 9, that he's going out and trying to live life more rather than worry about everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, every year you have to treat the Doctor as a real character. You have to think of him. He's actually living that life in that police box. You always have to be able to answer the question, why does he do it? Is he looking for something? Is he entertaining himself? Is he running away from something? Is he running to something? You always have to have his story. You can't just assume that he knows he's in a TV series and has to turn up in a different time zone and fight a different monster every week. You actually have to have his story. And so, yes, this year it's very much the story of, hey, you know what? I'm going to stop worrying so much. I got a time machine and a best friend, and I am going to enjoy the hell out of that.
Now, going into season 9, Doctor Who received its biggest ratings ever with Peter Capaldi joining the cast here. Now, it's weird because when Tennant took over, it really brought Doctor Who worldwide acknowledgement, and with Matt Smith, got it really big in America. Going from younger doctors to an older Doctor, everyone thought would be kind of risky, but it seems to have paid off in stripes here.
Nothing that ever pays off isn't a risk. I mean, you have to take a risk to get a payoff. Playing it safe is the safest way to lose. Honestly, you you absolutely have to push the boat out. You absolutely have to be thinking, are we doing the right thing? If you don't have butterflies in your stomach, you're not going to make the jump.
How hard is it to, when you're going through the process of writing and creating building out the story arcs, where you see what the fans are putting out and the response that they're getting, and to not kind of cater to the fans, but to cater what's true to the story and what's true to the characters itself? How hard is that to walk that line, and where you might be doing something that the fans aren't going to like, but it seems later on they'll come around and go, okay, now I get it?
Well, first of all, and most of the fans, by the way, would completely agree with this, you can't make it to cater to the fans. You can't, because the audience of Doctor Who, I don't know, we estimated was about 77 million, of whom several thousand are diehard fans. I mean, the arithmetic is very much there. In my opinion, what the fans want more than anything is for Doctor Who to stay on the air and continue to be successful. That's what they want. So they know we have to play to the gallery, not just to them. At the same time, I'm a fan myself. I know what we all love. So it's not like we don't ever include special treats. You know, I always kind of think we're lobbing jokes over the heads of the audience to the fans at times, saying, "You'll get this. No one else will. This is just for us." So you know, it's fine. But you can't listen to the fans in that sense. Except, you know, sometimes fans make incredibly good points. So sometimes you do. There's no hard and fast rule.
With season 9, are some things going to be answered as far as maybe his hunt for Gallifrey, his tie-in with Day of the Doctor, maybe his tie-in with the Pompeii episode?
Some things will be answered. I mean, we are going to resolve the matter of his face. I've said that in advance. We actually are going to say he's going to try and figure out where he's seen that face before. But beyond that, you're on your own.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Doctor Who Season 9 returns in the fall. I'm here with Stephen Moffat. Thank you so much, sir. It's been an honor.
Pleasure.
No, go ahead. Take your time. I'm here with Jenna Coleman. It's just Jenna Coleman now, right? Not Jenna Louise Coleman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why that became such a thing.
Probably for actors' rights or something, or getting paid or equity, something like that.
Oh, no, it's just because I only get called Jenna Louise when I'm in trouble, and people were calling me, and it was very odd to me.
So it's a mom thing.
It's all my mum's fault, yeah.
Jenna Louise, of course, is Clara, Doctor Who. Season 9 coming in the fall here. Everyone's very excited. The news from Season 8 was that they didn't think you were returning, and then all of a sudden you decided to return here, which threw everyone off, and it was a good thing too, because usually when there's a new Doctor, they write out that kind of handover, and then the companion leaves and a new companion comes in for a new Doctor, but you're staying for the whole ride here with 2 different Doctors.
Yeah.
Was this your decision? Did they beg you to come back, say, look, we have more for Clara, this is really going to work, or did you really love this so much that you wanted to stay?
Both. It was just a case of my contract was up, but there was more to do, and I only had 1 year with Peter, and we'd spent the series getting to a place where they knew each other, so it wasn't the right time in story terms to leave at all. And I adore and love working with Peter. I just have so much fun, and he challenges me and pushes me, and there was just more to do.
Now, the evolution of Clara, we'll say, when we met her towards the end of the 11th Doctor run with Matt Smith, we saw the important part of where it was leading up to, that you were always a part of the Doctor's history, and the conclusion as far as that, I guess, storyline goes with Day of the Doctor. Then, having Peter Capaldi come in, your relationship strained. It was almost like you didn't, not only did you know this man that you used to know, but you didn't want to be there anymore, but you started to gel as the season went on. Going into season 9, how is your relationship with the Doctor?
I think they've reached a place of understanding and kind of a place of peace, so it means instead of them looking into each other, they can both be united and look out towards adventure and run at it really fast and kind of chase adrenaline-fueled adventure with reckless abandon. So it's quite a different feel. We've described it as like the glory days of Clara and the Doctor, and it's all about living in the moment and having fun and enjoying yourself.
Is it a fair assessment where when you were introduced to the Doctor Who with the 11th Doctor, as that relationship was growing, it was almost like a boyfriend-girlfriend kind of thing, but then when Peter Capaldi came in, the relationship sort of became like father-daughter?
I think the thing about relationship with companion and Doctor is it's never one thing. It's like millions of things, and I think there was definitely, it was leaning towards romantic tendencies with Matt's Doctor, and I think she was falling in love with him, and vice versa, I think. Well, Stephen says so. And I think in a way, you know, Clara as the school teaches Peter's Doctor a lot of how to, you know, interact with humans, and all this, the relationships are always flipped on their head. So, you know, it is father-daughterly, but at the same time, she can be like the mother with the toddler as well. With him, they can be both friends on equal terms. It's a mixture of things. It's a mixed bag.
Not just for Doctor Who Season 9, what is Clara's role now in the new Lego Dimension?
She is in danger and she gets rescued.
Pretty simple.
Classic, yeah.
You also had a role in Captain America, the First Avenger there. Are you looking at maybe down the line when your time is done with Doctor Who to maybe doing more adventure stuff going into the Marvel Universe or the DC Universe?
For me, it's just about chasing cool scripts and good parts, and I don't know what's next. But I kind of don't really focus on that. I just focus more on what script lands on my desk and if I respond to it or not.
I just thought it'd be a lot of fun. Like, wow, I could become a superhero in a whole nother world. Thought that would be exciting.
Yeah, it's a great genre. Like, I've loved my time in Doctor Who, and I love the end product of watching those kind of films and Doctor Who, and the adventure and the imagination that it kind of that comes out of it. So I love that genre.
Final question for you. Now, with all the Doctor Who stuff that's going on, especially with it coming back in the fall, a 2-part episode, which, by the way, do you know if it runs together or is it week by week?
What, the end of this series, you mean?
No, the beginning of season 9. It's a 2-part beginning.
Week by week, yeah.
All right, so they're not running back to back, but they're running week by week.
Yeah.
Jenna Louise, thank you. I keep calling Jenna Louise like you're in trouble. Jenna Coleman, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You too. Nice to meet you.
Doctor Who here at San Diego Comic-Con, and this is truly an honor. I'm speaking with Peter Capaldi.
Hello there. How are you doing?
How are you, sir? Season 9, everyone's excited. This is your first Comic-Con doing stuff with the Doctor. How's it feel to go through all of this?
It's really, really exciting. I mean, people keep saying to me, are you nervous? That's making me nervous now that people keep saying, are you nervous? Because obviously we're going to have to go into Hall H with many thousands of Doctor Who fans. But that's wonderful. It's a delight, the idea that we're going to see so many people who like the show. And I took a little walk last night, and I started to taste some of the carnival atmosphere and see people dressed up in the street as, you know, Spider-Man or Imperial Stormtroopers. And obviously a lot of people from the show who were fans of the show noticed me and started chatting to me, and I ended up being led down to the convention centre, and it was just lovely. There's such a warm, supportive atmosphere here, and it's great to be around.
There's also a lot of ridiculousness around this whole event.
But what a laugh, isn't it? What a laugh, what a gas, isn't it fantastic? I kept saying, because people were sort of saying, oh, you need security here and all that stuff. And I said, well, you know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We've got to go and do this. We've got to go and just meet the fans and see how they feel and see what that's like.
Did it ever come to mind to do what Matt Smith did one year, where he put the Homer Simpson mask and walked the floor and nobody knew it was him?
Well, I'm not finished yet. I may yet do that. I don't know what mask I might wear, but yeah, I might do that. Actually, it was very sweet. They showed us around the hall last night with all the merchandise, which I wanted to rifle through, but I couldn't do it. But it was absolutely empty. It was strange and eerie. You know, it was like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. But yeah, I don't know. I might do that. Who knows?
You know what? One of the biggest things being sold on the floor is your Funko Pop figure.
Funko Pop? So what's a Funko Pop for you? I don't know what that is.
It's a small little thing. They're kind of like really gigantic heads. Some are bobbleheads, some are just little figures.
Yes, no, I have seen that. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. That's funny. Yes. I have to approve those things. They bring them into my trailer and they say, do you approve of this? And I say, yes, of course. Who is it? Who's that supposed to be? Oh, it's me. All right, okay. Where'd the grey hair come from?
And then you ask, can I get one of those? And they charge you for it.
No, they go like, no. I have no merchandise.
Season 9 comes this fall. Of course, you're returning as the Doctor. Lots going on involving Clara, yourself, the Master. In this season, are there any kind of hints or ties to your appearance in Day of the Doctor and the search for Gallifrey?
Yes.
That's all he can say.
Well, you know, it's really hard. Right at this moment, I'm here at Comic-Con, but I'm actually in the middle of filming episode 11, which is part of the finale of this season. So I know stuff that is unfolding in episode 11, and I know certain things that are happening in episode 12. I don't know. I haven't read episode 12, so I don't know exactly what's going on there. But in answer to your question,
you'll have to wait and see.
You'll have to wait and see, really. I'll have to wait and see. True, I haven't read it.
Can you at least tell me what the Doctor's role is in Lego Dimensions?
He is the best character in it. That's what his role is. Yes, you can go on there with Batman and Gandalf and Wildstyle and go through various levels. And one of the levels you can go through is the Doctor Who level, which is very sophisticated. I was really knocked. I mean, I did the voice for it, but obviously the game wasn't in existence when I did the voice. But when I saw it yesterday, there's this huge kind of cinematic experience. And also they have this thing. They have all 12 Doctors, and you can, if you decide to play as, for instance, the first Doctor, the TARDIS changes to his TARDIS.
To fit that time.
And the most amazing thing is it goes into monochrome for his...
So you're playing in black and white.
When you're inside his TARDIS, it's in black and white.
Very
the rest
tongue-in-cheek.
and you know, those Lego figures are so ironic. They're so... I mean, I think just by being a Lego figure, you're automatically funny. But they maintain the sort of... You know, the guys who did the game are... They love Doctor Who so much, so their affection for it is so sincere. But what you get is that great wit, because they also know a good joke when they see it. But they also know a good monster, and they also know, you know, that the TARDIS is fabulous, and the Doctor should go and rescue people, and there are great Daleks in it, and a Cyberman King and stuff. It's fantastic.
I love how passionate you are about it.
You know, it's just a laugh. How great can it? You know, what a fantastic position to be in at this age, to be showing all this stuff, given all these toys, that to be part of this empire of Doctor Who is a delight.
I'm running out of time with you, so my last question for you is taking over and getting this role of an iconic, which was a part of British history, now world history, being Doctor Who and taking the Doctor role, but coming off Malcolm Tucker from the thick of it, where most of America was recognizing you from because of Netflix. They were up on the Netflix there. How was the transition as far as in your head going from Malcolm Tucker to the Doctor?
Well, it was quite easy in some way, because in fact, I think it'd be true to say that Malcolm is further away from me in real. He was more of a performance. You know, right. I'm less like him. I'm more like the Doctor than I am like Malcolm. So, in a way, that when you play the Doctor, you sort of bring him close to you. You know, that's what the whole gig is you bring him as close to yourself as possible. So it really was abandoning all the tropes of Malcolm, but which wasn't difficult, because it was a definite performance, and there were mechanical things that I employed in Malcolm that I wouldn't with the Doctor.
Did they ever ask you to Malcolm it up a little on Doctor Who set?
And sometimes on bad days I sometimes do that automatically.
Peter Capaldi, season 9 this fall for Doctor Who. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
You're very welcome. It's lovely to talk to you.
Whoops, you know what the music means. Our time is up.
Yeah, our time is up for this edition of It's Erik Nagel. On our new time slot, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, here on the Opie Radio channel. Thanks to our guests, Ken Cage and Stiggs, for their the great beer that they brought in. It's 2spbrewing.com and 2SP Brewing on Twitter if you want to follow them and check all that stuff out.
Great
Of course,
beers.
Colin Hanks was amazing. Check out his show Life in Pieces on CBS. I think it starts on the 21st, which is Monday.
Yep.
And, of course, check out his documentary, which will be coming out October 16th, called All Things Must Pass, The Rise and Fall of Tower Records.
I'm looking forward to seeing that, actually. I was watching some videos on YouTube of Tower Records shows, and I was like, man, I missed that.
And, sorry, I was just communicating with Paul over something here. Of course, the Doctor Who cast that we just got to speak to, which was an amazing time. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. on BBC America, and for those in Canada, Space Network, 9 p.m. Check out the Season 9 premiere if you're a big fan of the Doctor. If you're not, or you want to try and figure out what's going on there, go to Netflix. Start with Season 1 from 2005 with the Ninth Doctor, and it'll take you across the whole journey and get you there where you need to be.
Get you all caught up.
Yes, Gittles, where you got to your plugs, where you going?
Gittle Base on the Twitter and Instagram, and this Sunday, if you got tickets, I'll be at the Royal Palm Shuffleboard Club doing a lobster takedown. I'm going to be cooking a whole bunch of lobster, so come on out and eat some shellfish.
And Gittle Base on Twitter and Instagram. Matt, I don't know where Matt is, but
he just disappeared.
Geek Stuff OG on Twitter and Instagram. Also, check out BigKev'sGeekStuff.com for the podcast that he does with Big Kev. Subscribe to them, follow their show as well. And I think that's about it. For me, it's E-Rock Radio on Twitter and Instagram. But for the show, it's Erik Nagel on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe, like, and follow all of those things. And I think that's about it. Next week on the program, Gittles is going to be very excited. Yet another person from Fear the Walking Dead.
Who?
We'll talk to Elizabeth. dry mouth. It's the end of the show. Just deal with it. Elizabeth Rodriguez.
Oh, nice.
We're going to talk to her next week. And also Phil Rosenthal. You may know him as one of the co-creators of Everybody Loves Raymond. He's got a big food thing that he's into right now. We're going to talk to him next week all about it.
I heard the Pope is going to be around next week.
Yes. Let's hope we can get in here with all the Pope madness that's happening in New York City next week.
We're going to try and get the Pope here live on the E-Rock Show.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's false information. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. The Sam Roberts Show is coming up next. And for us, till next time, be seeing you.
And that's all the time we have. Follow the guys on Twitter and Instagram at eRock Radio and at GeekStuffOG. eRock Radio and at GeekStuffOG. The show should be back next week, right here on OP Radio.